and welcome to day 3 of the GodisaGeek Game of the Year 2023 deliberations. My name's Adam Cook, and to my left over there is Chris Hyde. Hello, Chris.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm all right, mate. Day 3. To his left is Lyle Hart. Lyle Carr.
Wow.
Lyle Hart, my new name, because everyone loves me and we all love games too, right? Everyone else.
Yeah. I've never pronounced a name wrong, I don't think. That's a new one. I mean, it must be heavily
That's
sedated
not even
or
a
something.
word.
That's not even, no, it was like somewhere between... No, let's not. Beneath him, on the video version, is one Mick Fraser. Hello, Mick. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. And underneath me, which is just where I like him, is Chris White. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
It looks different. I don't know if it will look the same for everyone watching, but hello, Chris. You all right?
Yes, I'm good, thank you.
Day 3's here. Well, we're delirious, as always. Is there any updates that we want to talk about in terms of drinking situations? Are we all on similar beverages as before, or?
No, I'm just on the Fanta tonight.
Yeah, I've just got the little
Just got the
Aldi
Lucasade.
Cola.
The original Lucasade.
Original, yeah.
Not something you see
Needle
very
later.
often. The original Lucasade now. It's all Lucasade Sport and...
I only ever drink original. I like plain things.
It is nice though. I could never place what the actual flavour of original Lucasade is. Vaguely sweet and odd.
Also something that I don't know if this is a thing that I've heard from people around our area, so I don't know if it's a southern thing. But and I think this is going to shine a light on people's parents around here, perhaps. But is it Lucasade used to be something you'd have when you were ill, right?
Yeah, my dad used to swear by if you any ailment, just drink Lucasade.
No, that's fine. Because
it had to be original Lucasade.
Yeah,
as well.
well, there was only original Lucasade back then.
No, that's true. Yeah,
but I also know at least 2 people who were told to have it when they had tonsillitis, which, when you really think about it as an adult, is like, well, what?
I know someone used to warm it up.
What?
Yeah, when they were sick.
No, I'm killing this. We're not talking about this anymore. Mick's ruined it. This day 3, and also because we've already done about 6 hours this week, and we haven't even introduced the categories yet, which today are best multiplayer and best new character. And in the spirit of Christmas, like, does anyone want to have a guess at what won best multiplayer last year, or in either of the top 5 indeed?
When was it Takes Two? Was that the year before?
That was not last year.
Oh, what was that?
Was Tiny Tina's last year?
Yes, Chris, it was.
Yeah, that would have done good.
There was another one that I think about. It's quite generic now.
What is it? Rainbow Six.
Chris, these aren't words.
Rainbow Six.
We go with H.
Yeah.
Then there's no game starting with H in our top 5.
Oh.
Is
Rainbow Six on it?
It's number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, where was Tiny Tina? Was it not on the list?
That was number 1.
Overwatch
That was
2.
number 1.
Oh, I'm smashing it.
Overwatch 2 was on the list, number 3. Then following it
should have been 1, says Adam Cook.
I didn't say nothing, mate. I mean, I can actually. Do you know I could for once in my entire life go, told you so. Not gonna. Yeah. So, in 4th place was Nintendo Switch Sports, which that really doesn't feel like it was last year.
Oh,
and
no, a lot of such a blur.
Modern Warfare 2 was 5th place.
Mm.
We've not got a huge list this year, but I'll read them off. So the nominees for Best Multiplayer for 2023 are Wild Hearts, Street Fighter 6, Mortal Kombat 1, Diablo 4, Remnant 2, Disney Illusion Island, Lords of the Fallen, Endless Dungeon, WarioWare Move It, Omega Strikers, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Baldur's Gate 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and EAFC 24. Whittle them down to a 5, chaps. I'm just going to sit here and enjoy.
You're not joining in this one, are you?
I thought just for a change.
I like solo games.
I thought for a change I'd just not be involved. That's not going to happen. Can't shut me up. I've lasted about 5 minutes.
Okay. I could suggest a first cut.
I think someone's got to.
And only because I didn't play it with anyone really. I think me and Chris played it for Wild Hearts. I think we played it a bit.
Oh, that's a taste.
That's quite a spicy early.
Fucking hell! I didn't think you were going to go there first.
Okay, but I'm only suggesting it because I don't know how many of the rest of you even played it, and I played it primarily.
The oldest game on this list.
What's that?
Is it the oldest game on this list?
Yeah, because it was January, wasn't it?
Possibly February. I want to say,
or early February 11th. I want to say. I can't remember. It was early though.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't know if it won't make the top 5. I don't think, but what I would say about this game, what I liked about it, in terms of the multiplayer, was the there was a lot of accessibility for quick multiplayer in this game. It's something a bit better than the Monster Hunter series.
do go on.
What's that?
Do go on.
All right. Okay, so like what I liked about it is that there were those, I forget the names because it's February, right? But you know, there's little there were like the little shrine portal things that you could use. So like it wasn't like in Monster Hunter where you have to say like in the hub area you want to go to do this.
You just click on the little...
do that.
I think we can all agree that Monster Hunter's a disappointing multiplayer experience, really. In that,
and I like
okay, cool, thank you.
No, not disappointing experience. Hard to get into when you're into Monster Hunter. It's a great experience.
Christ, we're not doing this again, are we?
Every year.
You prefer Monster Hunter World to Monster Hunter Rise. We get it.
I just assumed that no game with Monster Hunter involved could do multiplayer. I assumed it was some sort of block on the genre that I didn't know it could be done. So I'm really.
This is the man that's moaning. We've already been talking for 6 hours, and we're not even talking about a game that's a genre that we're not even talking about. So what Wild Hearts does is like dotted throughout the map. So these little, like I said, these little portals, and you can go at them at any point, mid hunt, mid forage, whatever you want to do, and see a list of monsters, and you instantly get teleported into someone's game that's fighting that monster. And I just thought that was a nice extra way of kind of
I do think he did a good job as well of the what was it? I can't even remember what the devices were called. The
like the boxes thing.
Karakuri.
Yeah, let's go with that.
I think we'll let you off not being able to remember that.
Yeah, but I think that those were quite cool when you were playing together as well, because you could leave boxes and you could sort of set traps and you could lead a monster into somebody else's.
You could leave traversal stuff across your own world that could help other players get around it easier.
Yeah, I did think that was quite good. Like that was the asynchronous stuff was probably more interesting than when you were fighting together. I think a lot of the time.
I mean, I like the monsters in the, or whatever they're called. They're probably not called monsters.
They're not
hunting monsters. Definitely not. I actually quite liked it. I think the thing is, I dropped off it and I never went back. It was one of those ones I always said I will go back and keep playing this, and then the rest of 2023 happened. But I did like that it did that because I thought it was. I found myself having quite a few sessions where I'd go and do a quick fight with someone and then literally just go, do another quick fight, and I wasn't too bothered what I was fighting, and it's quite a nice way of doing it. Like I haven't achieved much, but I've had a good laugh playing online and doing monsters with people, and it felt a little bit more fluid than, like I said, like the Monster Hunter, which it's clearly going to get compared to. So I did like that, but
I think it's a strange one to go for so soon. Like,
I'm surprised it was the first.
I honestly thought that if anybody was going to probably push for it, would be me anyway, and I wasn't going to.
But as Chris said, I'm not sure. Well, I suppose this is both an argument for and against cutting it. But as he said, it's probably not going to make the top 5. So the question is do we keep it for now, or do we just rip the Band-Aid off? I mean, there's one really easy cut, which is what I thought you were going to go for.
I've got 2 or 3 games still left on this list that I'd probably argue for, but
shoot from your hip, mate. It's always been your style.
Yeah. But if you, but I mean, if no one else is going to fight to keep it, then there's probably not much point. I mean, there's
I can't fight to keep it on this list, and I don't think Chris or Lyle played it.
Yeah,
Chris White.
I played it, but I wouldn't be fine for it.
No. And
so it does seem like we've talked about it.
I think it's probably an out of place cut, but it's still a cut. So
it's still a cut. Yeah. Okay. Well, shall I just say the game that I was thinking? I think people Disney Illusion Island was
because
I will say I think it's a really interesting and accessible experience. I mean, I don't know. I'll give you my spiel, and you tell me if you think it stays or not. So it's a Metroidvania, Disney Illusion Island, which is cool for a start. We like that genre. We all love that genre. Let's face it. If it's a genre that all 5 of us all agree on, Metroidvanias are fucking great. Anyway, it's a Metroidvania. It's Disney. It has that the modern Disney character design and all that, but it is multiplayer, up to 4-player co-op, and I can't think of too many Metroidvanias that do that. Actually. I'm now.
So how does it work, like with the progression element? Then is it just one of you needs to have got to that point?
Well, it's not online. No, sorry, it's offline multiplayer. I should be very clear about that.
Oh, okay, right. Okay,
so there's nothing to worry about in that respect.
Okay, fine.
It has a lot of accessibility stuff that I quite like. Like I played a bit of it with my wife, and she doesn't play platform games. She plays some games, but not that. And there is a thing. and we've all done it, where you play suddenly with someone who doesn't play platform games, and you're like, why can they not do this thing that's just like,
why just sort of happens?
Why aren't you able to jump that gap?
It's not jump gaps. Yeah, I know what you mean.
But they add lots of accessibility to make that kind of less of an issue. So, and I think overall the game is incredibly easy. You can set it to hard and stuff and reduce your health and that, but it is incredibly easy until it's sort of too late when it ramps up. But I put it on here because I think I'm genuinely right now trying to think of another co-op Metroidvania, not Souls-like blah blah blah. I mean just a Metroidvania that does multiplayer. It's not a thing you hear very often.
No, and I think because of what I'm not trying to make me sound amazing, but I think it's because of the point I was making. Like the progress thing is locked behind things. So
I think if you were going to do that, you'd have to be like, this is my save game, and you're coming into my world, and you're just like another person, and then we can go the other way. But like it's not got. I never thought of that. I remember when we interviewed them, and I think I asked about that. Like, will there be multiplayer online? I don't think I can't remember what they said actually. But now I think about it, it would be pretty difficult to, But I don't know. I mean, the issue being, I'm the only person who played it, right?
Yep,
I think so. Yeah.
And I don't think I've sold it enough to take a top 5, have I?
No,
not over multiplayer games I've actually played. No.
Bye. But I just wanted to, we say we'll give them as due, and that was one I thought. I think it's probably not going to get much due anywhere else, but I do think it's quite a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Another co-op Metroidvania is Guacamelee, by the way.
Does that have co-op? What a game!
That is great.
Oh God, can we have a third, please? I mean, a third Guacamelee.
I was going to say not a third example.
No, Christ.
Guacamelee 2? That's a great. Yeah, those two games are great.
It's almost like they're a fantastic studio, isn't it? Like,
it almost is.
Nobody saves the world. Right. Anyone got
any more?
Spicy. I've got a spicy one, but I'm gonna hold it for now.
There's one I haven't played that I'm interested to hear about.
Okay.
Go on. Sorry.
So no. So I would cut them by process of the fact that I've not done multiplayer on them, but I'm keen to hear them. So like, WarioWare Move It.
Yep. That's me.
I haven't played it or played the multiplayer, so I'm keen to hear about it to understand what it does.
I guess similar in respect to Disney Illusion Island in that obviously it's an offline experience, and I think it just does co-op in a clever way. Like there's so if we're playing together in the same room, two of you, it's sort of, do I need to explain how WarioWare games work? You get the micro games, you just go through one after the other, getting increasingly more difficult. I do one, then you do one, and then we do one together. But because they've got this game's all about the poses. Like it's got there's one where you have to sort of do that, and you're like a bird, and there's like holding them like scales, like there's all these poses. It's kind of got yoga, I guess, through it. And so, like, if you fail out, if you lose, you fail enough times, you get like a second. Your mate gets to have a go at it. So if you're playing with someone, then they get to have a go at the one you failed at. And if they get it right, so second chance, second win, sort of thing. If you both fail out, you have to do like a yoga pose at the end. And if you do it and hold it, you get like another go over and stuff like that. And I just think it's a really inventive way of mixing the actual core game mechanics with making it actually feel like a multiplayer experience. Mm-hmm. Then you throw in the other mode they added, which is basically Mario Party, which I feel like I've waited forever for, because I like the Mario Party games. I understand all the complaints, and for my sins, I enjoy those games. I think they're, again, really accessible and fun ways to spend time with a family, for example, or mates who don't necessarily know games all that well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they're just great for that. This is what I've been waiting for. It is basically Mario Party, but WarioWare. And that's cool. Even down to how much it cheats you. Like I remember we did a match at a preview event, and I was winning, which is as much of a surprise to me as it is to you guys. And then another journalist won, but he only won because he landed on a square which flipped the board, so that where he was on the start and hadn't won a thing, and I was at the end, it just flipped the board round the opposite way, and he was now one away from finishing, having lost every single thing. So it's even like that much Mario Party. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's just a really fun multiplayer experience. It's just a really fun multiplayer experience, but I do respect it's probably not going to make it on this list unless anyone else.
I don't know. I like the sound of it a lot. I like WarioWare a lot, and I'm miffed I haven't played this. And I think, realistically, when I think of the other WarioWare games, as much fun as they are with other people, I never really think of them as having multiplayer modes that are anything other than like you both just play some mini games alternately and something happens.
Yeah.
So the idea of it having like a board game equivalent that
it's not even just that. Like, so they actually you know how in WarioWare the micro games, they start out very basic, and as you go up the difficulty they add more and more in. They actually also change them based on how many people are playing. So if you're I'll give you an example. There's one where there's a waterfall, you're holding a bucket and you have to catch the water and throw it onto a house fire, right? So you literally catch the water. So that's the motion you do. It's I think it's choo-choo is the one where you're holding the bucket and you so left to right. You get what I'm saying. When you play that with someone, it adds in there's like now the fire, you can't reach it. You have to now catch the water in the waterfall, put it into your friend's bucket, who then has to get the bucket and throw that across into the. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great.
Sounds really cool, to be fair.
Are we keeping it for now? It's not an immediate cut.
I feel like
I like
it's not an immediate cut.
Might sneak in a 5.
Maybe.
Let's not say things we don't mean.
Well,
I haven't said that. Omega Strikers. I feel like I need to go on a learning journey with some of these games. So like,
yeah, Omega Strikers is me. It was like this is probably like the multiplayer game that I enjoyed the most this year, that I played as a this year release, reviewed it, all that sort of thing. It's basically a 3-on-3 kind of like it's a football game, I guess, but it's almost more like something like air hockey, and it has like MOBA elements where like your characters level up and get different skills, and everyone has different abilities. So there's one character that fires like bumpers across the pitch, so if you do like a little spread of bumpers in front of the goal, it might be harder for the other team to score. And you can also fight the other players by like shoving them out of the edges of the pitch, so you can kind of focus on trying to like beat people up instead of scoring, stuff like that. It's a game that I think Adam played a bit and didn't really click with, and only I played otherwise. And I mean, I am realistically happy for it to go, but like I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. It was one where in any other year I might have gone back to it, but yeah.
I would do a shot. Come on.
I can't remember. I mean, if I found it too fast or too slow, but it was one of them.
I think it was too slow.
I think you might be right. I wanted it to feel a bit more like Windjammers, I think, and I didn't hate it. I just didn't click with me the way it did you.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I just think it can't make this list if only 2 have played it and 1 didn't really enjoy it. And I can't say like, oh, and 6 months after it released, I was still playing it and loving it, because like I played it for around a month total, and then was like, I have to play everything else. So. But really good, free to play too. So
but
anyone
can
try it.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I'm going to approach the fighters now. Hang on, no, just remember.
No, Chris, you carry on, mate. You do what you want to do. He said he was going to
cut them both. That's right.
I love fighters, right? So just bear with me before.
Are you having a go at me? I just moved. I was
you nodded your head like as if to say,
I went down like that to go and get me can of Coke, which is just here.
No, you didn't.
It's down there.
All right.
You know how we all get our drinks by going.
Like, we have to move our heads.
And then grabbing
them.
So
give me some credit, man. I've literally just cut 2 of my games, one after the other, before Lyle's broken up with Omega.
I'm happy to cut Mortal Kombat 1. But what I will say is that in terms of like when you want to play online, getting into a game, it's incredibly smooth, quick, and it's just as kind of fluid as you playing on your own. Like, so that element of it is excellent. But in terms of all the stuff you can kind of do online, it is basically quite limited. So I'm happy for that to go. However, Street Fighter 6 I want to talk about, and you've played it online, and you know that it's not just a case of jumping into a fight. You've got that option where you can go online and play as DJ and fight Blanca or whatever, but then you've got the bit where you've customized yourself, and there's that whole hub where you can do lots of different things. You can go and chill out on Fatal Fury on an arcade machine, which we touched briefly on the other day. I think it's a much more rounded experience. and it's a lot like with the whole game. It's every element of it has been thought out a lot more than it ever has before.
The one thing I didn't realize I would like doing, that I did find myself spending more time doing than I thought, was spectating. This is going to be sad, but fuck it. Like, there was this guy, I assume a guy, I don't know, based on the name and the character, this guy that kept challenging me.
Big Dave 69.
Yeah, Big Dick 69. That's it. Yeah,
I said Dave.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, so did I.
Yeah,
and I beat him. I beat him like 2 or 3 times, and then he was like rematch, and I was like no, and then like he went to fight someone else, and I was just like, I'm just gonna go and watch him fight. Like, and I wanted to lose, and it's like it's so petty, but I love the fact you can see who's fighting. Like, you can see their character stuff, and you can choose to spectate them, you can watch them, and you can. I just think it's like normally it's like it's more random, whereas this is very intentional, isn't it? And in terms of what you can go and do, and it sounds so stupid, but like actually having that physical, I'm actually going to sit down and fight that person. And like, it's almost like chess, isn't it? Like, so I'm sitting at this.
Which, by the way, you don't have to do. You can just do like multiplayer from the menu.
Yeah, you absolutely can.
But you can also go and stand in the middle and watch people fighting with their custom avatars, or watch replays, or like it's a lock. Like, I don't riot over much, but this is a top 5 multiplayer experience.
Oh, 100%.
I understand what you're saying about Mortal Kombat. What I do, I mean, we've already had one. That's it. In any other year, I'll say it now. But also, I think if it were up again, I'm not saying I prefer MK or Street Fighter 6 to one another, because I always think that they are very much 2 sides of the same coin, but like heads or tails. You know what I mean? Like, it's apples and oranges. Or any other fucking cliches you want to stick up your ass for the one podcast middle of the day 3. But comparing in the multiplayer-wise experiences. Like, Street Fighter 6 is such an interesting thing, full stop. Like, we'll talk about it more, but like, it is such a strange thing. It's like at the moment they're releasing loads of DLC and crossovers and shit, and it's almost But I thought I sort of see that a bit as a negative, because you had such goodwill from the mess that was 5 to 6, and now they've almost like, well, since we've got that goodwill, let's burn it. But that's not this category. But I think Street Fighter 6 is a lock for multiplayer, and if you want to cut Mortal Kombat 1, I'm okay with it. I think so.
I don't want to cut it, but I'm happy to cut it, because I don't think it will stay. It's one of mine, but like with certain games, I don't think it's necessarily about how many people have played it. I think if you've got enough passion about something, it has a chance of staying on any list.
Of course.
Flashback 2. I know it's not a passionate category, but do you know what I mean? Like, if someone's passionate,
there was a lot of passion,
positive or negative, it will stay.
Let's not mix passion and hate, just to be clear.
Like Shadows of Mordor, and there's.
Oh, don't.
Sorry,
it's coming again. I know it.
Are we cutting Mortal Kombat 1?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that going.
Okay.
How many have we got? Are we on? We down to 10
many.
yet?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 11.
We are literally at 10.
Oh, okay.
Call of Duty. I'm just wondering why that is, because it's just Call of Duty. Like, and I'm not being.
Mick,
I'm not
this early on.
But come on, I'm not being deliberately dismissive.
Isn't it by all accounts the best multiplayer Call of Duty's been in like years?
I think so. Yeah.
But not just you. I can't. I haven't played it, so I am not literally sitting on the sidelines. But everything I've heard is that it's the best multiplayer it's been in years.
Yeah,
I know the single player is what it is, but we're not talking.
No,
about
I mean, this is not single player. This is separate from single player. I mean,
I didn't like zombies. I mean, that class is surely is multiplayer as well. I don't like what they've done with zombies.
I can't.
I've played in previous
I haven't. Honestly, I haven't really touched zombies, so I can't talk to that. And I know you have. What I can talk about is the multiplayer, which I play almost every night when I want to get rid of my aggression from the day that has passed. So just talk about why, I guess, because that's what we need to talk about, rather than, like you say, like how is it different, I guess. So the main kind of draws, I think, for a lot of people, firstly, is this is old. This is getting confusing. This is old Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the old one, in terms of map remastering. So a lot of the maps that you can play on now are those maps, but redone up from the ground up. So the map selection is good, and the other couple of big differences in terms of multiplayer this time around, the time to kill is one of the longest in terms of multi-CODs that have been. So it takes longer for people to die, which is, a good thing in a lot of people's eyes in terms of that. It's not just like, well, I'm dead. Brilliant, I'm dead. There's a lot of here to be done around reactions and kind of everyone has a chance in a one-on-one. And then there's also, from my perspective, a lot that there seems to be a lot more in terms of like the tweaking of like guns and stuff making a difference. So you can, like, I've certainly found, I'm an assault rifle guy in Call of Duty, to be really clear. I'm not got like a collection on my back or anything, but like, the way you can tweak guns seems to make much more of a difference in this game than in previous iterations. So I find myself either finding a gun I like or being able to tweak a gun to how I want to play. And the guns level up really quick. So you unlock the different like attachments and stuff that, very, very quickly and go through quite a lot of them. So I'm having a really good time with it because I'm like, I think, sometimes I win, sometimes I lose, but I'm having a really good time with it. I like the fact the time to kill is longer because it gives old people like me half a chance. If you want lower time to kill, there's a hardcore mode with all the modes, attached to it as well. So it feels like it's the most fun I've had and I can't stop playing it every night. I want to play it. So I appreciate that I'm the only one playing it. You played it for a review, obviously, Mick, but like I am really passionate about this being one of the best Call of Duty multiplayers for years. I'm loving it. I'm still playing it. I will be playing it for weeks and months to come.
Can I suggest an alternative cut then for now?
You can.
I don't think you're going to like it much more, but I think EAFC,
I know what you're going to suggest.
Well,
this is the thing, right?
I don't think now of the time after time spent with that game, I think it's a very good game, and given what they had to do, which was essentially rebuild a franchise, but also not be found guilty of you've done nothing. This is FIFA 23, but you've reskinned it. Yeah. They did do that, and I think the Switch version alone sort of suggests, that is the case.
Yeah.
But I am now like I attended all the preview events and they always do it. This is nothing new, not an EFC thing. It was always a FIFA thing. It's always every sports game. Here's our new buzzwords. Here's our new blah blah blah.
I mean, their presentation was just packed with buzzwords.
It was, and it has been for a while now. But what it boils down to for me is that this is more of them. And the reason I think we give it a high score is because it is a really good game. But it's them setting out their stall properly to start a new era. I don't think it's what I would consider the best multiplayer. It's like, this is going to sound silly. I still hear my kid shouting the same annoyed things playing Ultimate Team Online. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
I think
some bits, but this is still not what I would call a revolutionary multiplayer experience.
Not
against games that we like. We haven't talked about Remnant 2, and I suspect people would talk about Remnant 2 and say, but it's just a blah blah blah. But this is our list, and I just don't think EA Sports FC 24 makes the list.
No, so listen, I think it's the one I'm play the most of and will continue to play the most of all of us. I agree with you though. If I'm being really, really critical about the multiplayer compared to something like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, this feels more like a holding pattern of what will come next. This was the transition year.
Would it be fair to say? Because I feel like I wore off this game quicker than any FIFA. Not that, again, I really like it and I'll play it and I'll be like, oh, this is really good. But it wore off on me really quickly this year. And I just didn't feel the draw to the multiplayer this year.
I haven't, I think. But then I've spoken to my friends who have bounced off Ultimate Team a lot quicker this year, which is part of it. I don't tend to go in for I tend to just play pro clubs. But I've heard a lot of people say that. And I just think, like I say, I think it's more... They had to go through this transition from FIFA to EAFC. I think they've done that, but I think where they want to take it is not there yet. And I think that where they will diverge and hopefully become something even better than what FIFA got bogged down being. Maybe it will happen in 25, maybe it will happen in 26, but I don't think it's quite there in 24. And I wouldn't hold it up on a pedestal of best multiplayer. It's an addictive thing for me because I like what FIFA is, but I can't sit here and say it's game changed it this year. Whereas I could talk more passionately about COD Modern Warfare 3 doing that because I genuinely think it has. Like I've sat there going, I think this is the best it's been in years. I've not said that about EAFC 24. So based on that, I'd be happy in inverted commas to to cut EAFC 24, but I did want to give it its time because
I've got a good cut for you. Diablo 4.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why.
I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to, but
So Diablo multiplayer is fun, right? Diablo 3 multiplayer was great fun. Diablo 4 multiplayer, I've played quite a bit of multiplayer, and it is fun. It's fun if you choose to play multiplayer. If you've got a mate and you want to join in with them and you want to do some quests together and this, that, and the other, that's fine. What I don't like about Diablo 4 multiplayer is the fact that you have to run around the world with 50 or 60 cunts banging into you the whole time because you can't play it not multiplayer. And it's not an MMO, but you're forced into a world, into a shared world.
They want it to be. Their forcing of that sort of MMO nature ruins all immersion that game has.
Yeah. And if I could just quest alone and do, and you can ignore everybody.
You can't because if you turn the offline,
you're trying to do something.
Well, I don't want to be a dick, but I do want to bring this up, right? Diablo 3 was magical, right? In terms of the multiplayer, even on Switch. We spoke about this, Adam, when we played it on Switch, and it was
just like, I'd agree. Insane.
Like, I didn't want this game to be online only, and I think it's a mistake.
Nobody did. Nobody
did.
I don't know, but like, I agree with you. I think I've told you guys this. Like my first experience of Diablo 4, I play it co-op with my wife, right? Because we played Diablo 3 through co-op, and they had issues at the start. I know they did on launch, didn't they? With lots of like a few server down issues.
It wasn't actually as bad as they have been. It was a decent enough launch.
Yeah. But like I remember sitting there next to my wife wanting to play co-op, and I can't because the servers are down. And so I can't co-op locally with the person sitting next to me because it has to be online only.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no other option. I don't want to play online with anybody else. Like I say, I don't want the randoms wandering around. I want to play with the person sitting next to me, and that's not an option. And I feel like it's a backward step in that game,
which is why I'm suggesting the cut.
Yeah, and I agree.
And to be clear, I love the game.
Like, I was going to just say, can we just like it is a great video game.
I think it's fantastic. I gave it a 9 when I reviewed it. I've played countless hours since review, which is rare for me to squeeze a game in at all when I'm not reviewing. I think it's fantastic,
but it is not best multiplayer.
No,
it's frustrating the way they've implemented it, and nobody wanted it.
Do you know what bugs me? Like, because you could maybe speak to someone who made the game and they would deny all of this and say, no, we had this in mind and that in mind. And I wouldn't say it's like invasive, but like the amount of times that store pops up with a little dot suggesting there's something new to buy is like, this is why you did it.
Players is because they build these games on FOMO. That's what they do, and they want you to see that someone's got a better skin than you.
I want that. That horse is flaming. I want that horse.
Until you go into the store and realise that a skin will cost you 16 quid, and then. I mean, it's just.
And like
I
will
crazy.
say, to be clear, it's not on our list because it didn't come out this year. But like Overwatch 2, could argue does the similar thing. That's a free-to-play game.
Yeah.
You can choose. We are, and I'm not blaming Blizzard.
Path of Exile is free-to-play.
What I was going to say is a lot of developers are doing this now where they want their cake and eat it. They're trying to be a live service game with battle passes and also be 70 quid in the shops. And I feel we're at a diverting point where it's like you pick one. If Diablo 4 was like free-to-play, I don't know that we'd have this conversation.
No, I don't think we would.
Because I would argue that whatever wins this award, the true game of the year, multiplayer-wise, is probably Overwatch, but it didn't come out this year, so we're not including it. Could argue Fortnite. Fortnite's been incredible. But again, and they do that better than anyone. Like they've recently done what is it? Is it season 5 where you've got like the snake stuff's coming in about it's like February time, I think, and
like 50 days. I think. 50
odd days or something. And then you've got the Family Guy stuff, which is like it got me going. I kind of want the Petercopter as my. Do you know what I mean? Like as my and I think a lot, and they do it, and that's what. And you'll play a match with someone who's got that, and you'll be like, "Oh, you bastard! I want that." And that, but it's a free to play game. That's the sort of game where, and it's the same with Overwatch. I don't mind buying the battle pass because I feel like I'm supporting the team that I've played a game of for like 10 years. With Diablo 4, it does feel a little bit like
And there is value
You know.
to it. Like people say,
No, I'm
oh,
not
it's, you
against
just played
it.
something with no value. But I mean, the
value is what you
something
the
in a
value is
game.
what you
Exactly,
judge it. But
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying
that-
is that that's fine. And I actually am not one of these. It's like, oh, how dare they try and? I get it. People have got to make money off their work.
exactly,
It's absolutely fine. What I do find objectionable is that, like, by doing
When they're
that,
just greedy.
they've allowed this other part of the game in where, like, you're walking through this. You've just had a cutscene where Lilith has done this, that, the other, and you're like, oh, this looks so good. 6 people run past as ghosty people. And it's like, I don't want to see you.
Yeah.
If I want to play a multiplayer game, I'll choose to play a multiplayer game with my friends. Like, I can't imagine a situation in my age or any of our ages where you're like, oh, he looks cool. Oh, we should be friends. Let's play together. Like, you'd probably get a reply back going, fuck off, pedo, or something, wouldn't you? Like, you probably
The thing is,
would.
as well,
like,
though, the thing is, as well, what's backwards about this is that you can't earn that cool stuff in the game. So, whereas, like, anybody, and I don't know whether you guys ever did, but anybody who played, like, World of Warcraft in its heyday, for example.
Definitely not. But go on.
Right? When you played World of Warcraft in its heyday, you earned everything. So, if you saw a guy with a particular mount, particular set of armor, particular weapon, they'd earned it somewhere in game. So you initiate the conversation to say, where did you get that from? And they'd either tell you or they'd be
It was a
arseholes.
different internet back then, Mick.
Of course it was. But my point is, you can't do that in Diablo.
You
4.
have to pay
Say
for it.
somebody,
Yeah.
where'd you get that? They go, I bought it. And that's it. There's no, I earned
But
this.
what
by
I
doing
will
stuff.
say, we're sort of complaining about the service aspects rather than the actual multiplayer. It's a cut, isn't it? Like,
It is a cut.
for the reasons we've mentioned.
For me, yeah. I think you could.
Go on, say it.
Endless Dungeon.
Yeah, that's the one that's hovering there, and I was going to ask about. Like, I
a
think
good
it's a really good
multiplayer, but it
game.
doesn't do anything different.
No, it's
in
a
way.
good
Like,
game. It's not going to
fun.
get brought up anywhere else, I don't think.
I think
I
might
do
be why I
like
put
it.
in multiplayer because it is really, really good, and
It synergizes well. It's a class-based isometric
it's a game
dungeon
that could
crawler.
get swallowed up this year. Probably has
Yeah.
really been swallowed up this year.
But man, it's disappointing because when I previewed it, I remember thinking Mick will love this game, and I know you did because you reviewed it.
did.
But then when they announced the release date, it was almost like I wanted to email them and go, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? If you're going to delay it, that's like out of the window you had it. You may as well just keep delaying it and do it next year when things have calmed down because
It would have been a great January game.
It would have been
Yeah.
a terrific January game. Like, let's put it this way, Chris Hyde, did you ever play it?
No.
There you go. That
Did
says
you
it all.
like it as well?
Oh,
And
no,
this
he
is
would.
because I know
We
I
kept
installed
saying
it and
we're
we
gonna
were
play
going
it
to play
multiplayer.
it, and then
And you just never got around to it
Yeah.
because of this year.
I've still
but-
got it on Steam Deck because it is a good game for that, but I've uninstalled
Yeah,
it on
I've
the
left it
PC
installed
because
because I do jump in and out.
it is a good game. It's a really
fun
good game, an interesting game.
And
Bye-bye.
it really does promote like teamwork. It does that
Yeah,
thing where you
it really
have to
does.
work together. You can't just be in there and ignore each. So it does good stuff, but it's not for this list.
But it's gone. But we are getting down to now. So that's 7 lists. There's some we haven't talked about. I think we need to talk about.
There's
7.
one I
Yeah,
really
I'd
want to
like-
keep on. Sorry, Lyle, you go, mate.
I was just going to say, I would like to know what Lords of the
Yeah,
Fallen
this is
does
the one
for
I was
multiplayer,
about to
'cause it's one
talk
I've not
about.
really heard.
D-
Yeah.
The reason I put Lords of the Fallen on there,
Mm.
it's a Souls-like, and it's a very Soulsy Souls-like. It's a very dark Soulsy Souls-like, right? There's no two ways about it. They've cribbed off Dark Souls in almost everywhere. They've added their own bits. It does a few things wrong. It's not a perfect game. I finished it. I really liked it. I played
Definitely
a
ain't a
whole bunch of
perfect
new
game. I
games.
mean, they patched it every day for about 3
They
weeks.
did patch it every day.
they
and
didn't
it
have
was- it
confidence
was.
in their own
No.
balancing. Let's put it that way.
And I'm not, and that's why I'm not arguing it as game of the year. But the
Yeah.
multiplayer, the one thing this game did really, really well is the multiplayer because
Yeah.
it
I'm
goes
concerned
straightforward.
about this one, right? And I think this is a cut, and I think the reason it's a cut is because I don't disagree that it does it well, but I do feel like that's damning it with faint praise, saying that no one else could be bothered to do it this way.
I don't think it's that.
No,
way.
I don't- I
think if
disagree
you,
with
You
that.
can play this game, and it's a Souls-like, and I don't think I've ever seen a Souls-like where you can just start the game together and finish the game
But
together.
that's what
You
I'm
could do it
saying.
all
Like
in one
that is
go.
cool, but that feels so much like because I did not like this game, and then I played it multiplayer, and because it basically let Chris do all the work and me just sort of get a couple of last minute hits in, it meant I could feel good about myself without because they. It's one of those where it's the get good thing, but I also think it was so fucking the balancing was they're still doing it. They're still responding to community feedback, and I just don't think that makes for a balanced experience, whether you're playing multiplayer or not. And as for best multiplayer, I do think it does it well, but I just think that's damning it with faint praise. I really do.
No, I think the thing for me, I don't think it's fair to say other Souls games tend to fuck up the multiplayer in terms of accessibility, and then a game comes along and actually goes, this is what it could be, and we say, well, that's not.
But I'm not saying that. I'm saying this just to start. We know that if From wanted to, they could do this. They choose not to. They choose, like a lot of that game, to be obtuse and obnoxious to the player. They choose to be antagonistic. The Lords of the Fallen chose not to, and I'm really grateful of that.
Yeah, so I'm losing you a little bit with the criticism.
I'm not saying that. I'm not criticising it. I just said I think.
No. I mean, you didn't find it great, and yes, they have struggled with balancing, but I did really enjoy it. And
I'm not criticising it. I'm just saying I don't think it makes a top 5 just because they let you invite your friends and play together.
But we're talking about
on this list
as a multiplayer, even just talking about as a multiplayer experience to be able to play
and I'm not arguing
with
against you. I'm saying we have to cut 2 games, and I don't think this will make a top 5.
I mean, it's interesting, right? Because I would there's definitely arguments to say the way Lords of the Fallen executes its multiplayer is better than Remnant 2, right? So this is where we have to, and this is where we have to start talking about. Because we've all played Remnant 2 together and enjoyed the experience of multiplayer of Remnant 2 more as a whole group than we have Lords of the Fallen.
I
would argue Lords of the Fallen does it better, and this is where we need to be really clear on what we're talking about. But
you're talking about the difference between a mechanical aspect, as in clicking invite to game and it working, versus it not. And at the same time saying... No, but I am. I'm saying the difference between the two in terms of how they mechanically work is that Remnant 2 is more that kind of go to a soulstone, go to a bonfire, invite, versus Lords of the Fallen where you do that.
Yeah, but the other thing that Lords of the Fallen integrated really well, and it worked really well as because of the multiplayer, was like Remnant 2, for example, which we know is a game full of secrets, packed in secrets everywhere. Lords of the Fallen was similar in many respects to that. There were secrets everywhere. There were hidden things. I played a lot of sessions with just random people. And it wasn't one of those things where, because everybody was playing this fresh at the time I was playing it. So it wasn't like when you play Dark Souls a few years later and someone comes in and just runs to all the chests and shows you where they were. There were things where I was talking to like random people while we were playing, and we were discovering little secrets. Like I played with one guy for quite a big section of a level. We did about 3 over the game. We did about 3 bosses together, and there were times where, like, he would spot something while I was doing something else, and he would go like he would switch into Umbral, and I'd be like, "Oh, what? Why have you done that?" And he'd be like, "Because and it was like a secret path around like the level." And I'm like, it was still there if I was playing solo, and I might have found it, but that level of being able to explore the entire, like, it wasn't a thing where
that can happen in a FromSoft game. Someone can join your game at random and show you.
Yeah, but you can. But then you beat a boss and you get kicked, or one of you dies and you get kicked.
I'm not debating that. That's fair enough.
The overall experience of this as a multiplayer game was one of the best experiences I've had in multiplayer this year. Like it was.
I don't agree at all, but okay, that's fair enough. That's what we've got to debate, isn't it?
And I think,
for me, it's a lock. I'm really surprised that this is the conversation.
It's a lock for me, even if it's not a high lock. It's a lock for me.
Okay, so let's keep it then for now, right? Because there's passion here. So what are we cutting then? We need to cut 2 games. So what?
Well, I would ask about who played Baldur's Gate 3.
I think Baldur's Gate 3 is the other easy cut. I would have cut Lords of the Fallen and
I'm
Baldur's
only
Gate
asking
and
because I don't know who's played Baldur's Gate 3 in co-op for a length of time to say this is why. Because I always find games like that to be very personal things. So I
would agree with you. I think the idea of the Baldur's Gate co-op is awesome and such a cool thing, but I never really felt the need to get one of you involved, if that makes sense. I kind of didn't, because
I've played other CRPGs in co-op, and you kind of always feel tethered.
I don't think this does that though. I think this lets you just bugger off. But I also, what if one of you's playing the love interest? I don't know. It's like, how does this work? Because I know you can bring another avatar in, or you can have someone just take over as Asterion or something. And Chris,
Dungeons and Dragons is a tabletop game. We have to invite all your friends round. You can't really play it online because the amount of stuff in front of you. You've got all your books, your papers, your dice, everything. It's very hard to get a game together. Baldur's Gate takes all that away and lets you do it online. I've played Baldur's Gate 3 online with my mate for a good 20 hours now, and he got into it about 2 months ago. And we can join whenever we want, whenever we're both free. We just log on and go online. You can play this. I mean, this game is a very personal game, like it's very solo, because obviously I've played through it and I've had my own experience. Playing with someone else, it's a very different game because you lose your actual written character party members, as opposed to someone else and you having your own story. You talk about finding secrets in other games and exploring stuff. You do that together like you would do in Dungeons and Dragons. And then you've got your combat, which is always the most exciting part of Dungeons and Dragons, where I'm not controlling my entire party. He's doing his bit with what character he's got, and I'm doing mine, and we're talking about it and working together like you would do in Dungeons and Dragons. And that also plays into when you're having your conversations, when you're exploring what to do next on the map. So I get that you want to cut it, but like for a multiplayer experience, to play through a 100-hour game together, potentially, is ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think that sounds really fucking cool. Like that sounds like the perfect in an ideal world. That sounds like the perfect way to play through a ridiculously long game twice.
Yeah, it's really odd because, as I said to you, it's every time I would Google it and stuff and look up, it seemed like such a cool thing that again I hadn't seen, but then I don't play that many CRPGs, so I'm not. I was only just cutting it because I assumed no one else would, but like,
look, I get it, man. And I'm not like every time Baldur's Gate's in a category, I'm not going to be like, oh, fuck's sake, you're all.
No, but man, what you're describing to me is I would rather keep the Knights of the Fallen. So I mean, we've got to.
Yeah, but that's where we've got to go, then. Isn't it?
So look, are we cutting? Are we cutting Mario Bros?
I don't know. I was going to ask about that next because
I haven't played it in co-op. I
don't think it's necessarily just the co-op that was.
It's like the leaving.
It's the Souls. It's the Souls-like stuff. It does weird Dark Souls. I think that might have been a bit easy, a bit of a lazy way of describing it. But I think what it does is you're playing along asynchronously with other people on those levels if you're online, and like you can leave a little standee, and you can I think I can't even remember now, but like you can get brought back to life by ghosts and stuff. And I must admit, playing the review build of it, like it was a really strange experience because there was someone else online who was suddenly just in my world and in the game with me, and we were playing together. And then and I thought, that'll be that then. And then I started the next level, and then they were again. We were playing through the game literally at the same time, and we suddenly were playing the levels together without knowing who each other were and without meaning to. And it was kind of cool and really weird for a Mario game, if I'm honest with you. It's definitely unique, I would say. I don't know, but we are ultimately there's 7 games that needs to become 5 before we do anything. So I mean, I don't know if WarioWare makes this list.
The Mario stuff's tough because what you're saying about it, I like the idea of, and I do think it sounds cool. But whereas, like, say for the Baldur's Gate one, where Chris was saying, like he was saying that, and I was like, God, I really wish I could find a way to find someone who was free at the time and had more free time to do that. With Mario, I'm like, I'd just play it through again.
Maybe I'd turn it on.
Like, I don't care.
After experiencing the multiplayer, what I actually did eventually was I turned it off because, similar to what Mick said about Diablo, I don't want to play my first playthrough of this wonderful, incredible, beautiful audio-visual feast to be pervaded by random other people, even though there was limited because it was just other media reviewing it. I don't want to see them jumping around the world. I don't want to be shown those secrets. I don't want any of that in a Mario game. I want to find all of that. And if I really struggle, I'll probably look up a guide or whatever. But I don't want to. Maybe it's that thing of I'm a traditionalist in that way. You know,
No,
I played Mario, but I don't want
I'm
I'm
some
the same.
random.
Like,
I don't
for
want
me, it's-
even you guys suddenly appearing in my world because you can.
Yeah,
I want to
for
say,
me-
let's play multiplayer, and this is. But I don't want that to be my first play of the game.
No, you want it to be. We've all finished it. Now let's
play
go
it
on
again.
Yeah, and
I don't. Yeah. So
It's-
I think it's actually an easier cut than it might.
Yeah,
be.
I think so. For me, it's akin to, like, Mario Maker. It's
Yeah.
like I don't want the little messages popping up, giving me like
Yeah,
clues. And
similar,
I don't want
yeah.
that the first time I'm playing those levels.
Yeah.
If I get stuck, I might turn
you
them on.
want to turn them on if you want the option.
Yeah, exactly that.
And it's cool, and it is cool. But in terms of like best multiplayer for me,
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I think it's interesting, and I think it's nice to see Nintendo doing something a bit different. And I like the standee stuff and the scoring. You know how many because you put your standee in it, but it's just look. Old man yells at cloud. Maybe it's not what I want from a Mario game. I want my single player experiences. I want my Mario 3D world. I want Mario Odyssey 2. And I want, if they do include multiplayer, to be a completely optional thing that I don't have to engage with if I don't want to. And I did turn. I don't think I ever turned it back on, the online, after the review period, actually. I think I turned it off and I never... Because it's not even just in the levels, it's on the overworld as well, you'll see people.
Yeah.
And I just don't want it. I just don't... It's a very similar thing to Diablo. I'm not like Mr. Antisocial, but I just don't want... It's a special thing for me, like a new Mario game. Like,
100%.
But imagine if Zelda did this.
Oh God, if there was other people in Tears of the Kingdom, I'd be screwing.
Awful.
Oh
Do you
my
imagine
God,
that
it'd
you
be
are
horrendous.
playing, Legends of Zelda: Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, and suddenly just like 5 people run around and just start.
If Big Dick 69 was wandering around.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just not. I'm pleased Nintendo are doing more multiplayer, experimenting with how they do multiplayer, and for what that means for the future. But when it comes to their big things that I grew up like the fucking staples of gaming, your Marios, your Zeldas, it just ain't what I'm there for. And I don't want them to not do it. It's not, and it doesn't make the game a worse game.
No.
No, if anything, I'm glad it's there, and
Yeah.
I'm sure some people really like it. But I mean, for our list, like,
I'll add
sound like
just to add a positive to a negative statement. I'll add that I like they changed the interactions the way I know some people don't, but I like how they changed how, say you're Mario and I'm Luigi, how those sprites interact with one another in game. You're not bashing into each other all the time.
The collision stuff.
The collision stuff is different, and I like that they've adjusted that because they kept trying to make Mario 2D Mario fun in multiplayer, and it isn't. And that's a bit better. It's a step in the right direction, but I'd cut that because and even on that respect, I don't think, because we did try, like my sons and I were playing a bit of it together in co-op. I just don't think it's a fun way to play Mario. I just don't think I respect them for doing it. I respect that. Mario 99 was great, but that was a different thing entirely. That's like where I feel like that was the test for this. Because that was the thing, the asynchronous ghosts jumping around. And that is cool and weird, and I wish they hadn't deleted it, because that is such a great way to spend a few minutes if you've got nothing else to do. But I don't think playing a mainline 2D or 3D Mario game with other people is It's good if you're doing a live stream of Super Mario 3D World and you're all being picking each other up and throwing each
Mario
other.
Mondays.
That's great fun, but it's not... But imagine if that was your first experience that game. You'd be gutted.
God.
So I would propose that as a cut, and we're down to 6.
Agree.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Chris White?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. So we're down to 6. We do have to get rid of one of them. We've sort of talked about all of them now, there or thereabouts, which does kind of suggest there's time to vote for a cut or a lock.
Maybe we could lock something else first. Are we going to lock Remnant 2 as an experience that we like? I mean,
I don't think any of us would object.
I would be amazed if people's number 6 from this list is Remnant 2.
Like, if it is, what the fuck are we even doing?
Yeah.
So, in all seriousness,
so we lock Remnant 2 and Street Fighter 6. That Street Fighter 6 is already locked, right?
I think they feel like the two.
I mean, Remnant 2 does
quite
great
easy
stuff with its multiplayer anyway. I mean, it does do some good stuff.
If you really wanted to be harsh and find a reason to cut it, it was broken on PlayStation when it launched. And then when they launched the DLC, they broke it again.
Broke it again, yeah.
Again, yeah.
They have fixed it since.
I know, so I'm
did
sort of
break
being ultra harsh because, and also let's be clear, the bulk of our experience was playing the pre-release PC build together. Then we moved on to PS5 and we completed it all again. Like, I'm trying to think how many times I've actually played through this game with you guys in multiple. It's a lot. I don't think there can be any other.
There's some good stuff. There's one thing in Remnant 2 that does. So there's 2 or 3, I think, perks in it that you can only get if you play multiplayer. Like there's one in the Great Hall in the Feast one where it basically turns you into a cannibal and you can't heal. You can only heal by eating somebody or eating the rotten meat.
The first time we got there,
and one of the perks you get in the game, you only get if you try and revive somebody because you'll automatically eat your fellow player,
right? Yeah,
yeah, and you get glutton. There's another one where. In one of the facilities on Nehrude, where if one of you is in a room in where you're trying to clear a facility of these alien bugs, if one of you's in a room in a gas chamber, if the other one presses the button and kills you just for a laugh,
you could do that.
Yeah, you get a perk.
Oh, that's superb.
That as well. So and that's just encouraging, like, because you know there's certain people that if you're in a room and there's a lever that sort of you shouldn't pull.
Yeah, I played that solo. If I was playing that with you,
you're going to pull the lever, and I think it does. Like, there's not many of those things in it, but I think it does. I think it does some cool stuff, and obviously, like the synergy of.
I think it does the loot well as well. Like, if you pick up a thing, everyone gets that thing.
Doesn't matter where they are.
Because we had a thing where a guy, it was actually the DLC, where a guy ran in and what was it he did, Chris? He ran to the lighthouse in the DLC and unlocked the other door. There's in the DLC, there's 2 doors and 1 key. You get to pick one door to unlock in that DLC. I know this is just an example that I can think of. And he literally joined our game, and this was because the multiplayer was messed up, and the only way we could get a game was by doing it public and just finding each other. And he ran to the lighthouse, knowing we had the key, because once you join, you get any quest items in your inventory, unlock the bottom door. Yeah. But it was great, because we had already done the top half on PC. So it was great to actually, he did that, because now we knew how to open that door, and we all got the items. So it wasn't like he ran into the world, grabbed the item, we all got it anyway. So and it's the same with everything else, with perk points. I think we've got our number 1 and 2. I'll say that much.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Argue about placement later.
I don't even think we need to, if I'm honest with you. I don't even think we need to. I think they're ran the wrong way at the moment.
Yes,
but
I
think.
Okay, that was
Because if we were talking just like purely best mechanical multiplayer game, maybe then they are the right way round. But in terms of our best multiplayer game, the endorsement from GodisaGeek, I think it's But let's not say it out loud just yet.
The original.
Oh yeah. So what are we losing? Because we've all talked quite a lot about the other 4.
Yeah, we need to cut these and then rank them. Really,
I think there's a vote here to be had, and then I think it's an easy rank, and I will rank them how I think we're all going to go with in the end. I'm that confident.
A lot of confidence there from Mr. White. I like it. It's slightly turning me on.
You see, I kind of feel like it's a falling on your sword kind of moment. There's 2 games here that are kind of only one of us has. I don't look. I've said it. I ain't gonna go on about it. I don't agree with the Lords of the Fallen thing, but it has to represent us as a team. I kind of think WarioWare needs to go. But no one's played. No, I know.
I'm alright with that because I want to save Lords of the.
But what I would say is to counter my own theorem there a little bit, is that Baldur's Gate 3 is here because one person's played it, but I, like Lyle, think that's cool.
Like I was willing to vote between that and WarioWare, because I'm not confident everyone would vote Baldur's Gate.
I'd rather keep both of those than Lords of the Fallen, and I can't speak to Call of Duty Modern Warfare, but I do believe what Chris has said, and I do kind of believe what everyone else has said, that it's like it is best in class at the moment.
The thing for me, so obviously this might be a fall on the sword moment for me, right? What I have to come back, I think Call of Duty Modern Warfare is the best Call of Duty multiplayer that has been for years. However, I'm also conscious this is our best.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was saying about WarioWare.
So just let me finish. So like, of the 3 that have got one person that's playing and championing it, I would argue Call of Duty is the only one where no one's gone, oh, I'm fucking rubbing myself to play that after Chris has been speaking about it, because it's not your type of game. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've all seen
I mean,
Chris's video playing Call
has
of Duty,
been.
whichever one that
Call
was
of Duty
a few
has
years
been
ago.
my game for many years before, but
now,
I did play this, during the.
But that's the other thing, and you haven't
is that
kept
more of
playing
an
it.
indictment? You've actually
Yeah.
played it and still hate it.
But I would argue you could
I
just say
didn't
the
hate
same about
it,
Lords
I
of the
just
Fallen.
didn't feel. I just didn't feel it did anything that.
No, but I guess
Call
there's
of Duty
two
hasn't
people
done
championing that. For me,
before.
that's the difference here. There's three where one person is championing it, and maybe it does mean that Call of Duty, against my better judgment, is the one that goes.
Lords of the Fallen is the. It was a game that didn't have to have multiplayer. I know you can say that about anything, but it didn't have to have multiplayer. It's just Souls-like. They could have.
They kind of all have it, though, don't they? It would be a bit of an omission if they didn't.
But they didn't have to do. In Lies of P doesn't, and that's on my list for the year. That's got no multiplayer, and I didn't miss it, but it wasn't there. They could have. But I think that it. I just genuinely think Lords of the Fallen does a fantastic job with its multiplayer angle. I think it's the fact that it's so drop in, drop out, that it's so smooth, and you can. And I mean, like I said, you can sit and you could speedrun the game together if you wanted. You don't have to stop for anything. You don't have to break for bosses when one dies.
This is what I want. This is what I want the standard of multiplayer for this genre to be moving forward.
This is right. That's exactly.
And that's
you should be able to play together.
What's that?
Like, I don't get this because I don't really get the genre. It's like any other game that has a campaign that you can play co-op. You can play it together.
This is why I feel quite conflicted on it, Lyle.
Doesn't do it. Like, I mean, I don't care. It can make the list. It like in terms of there's more people backing it than anything else.
I know
but
what
like,
you're saying, though.
this is the one game in this genre that decided to do multiplayer, not like a
genuinely,
and that to be all that's being said.
That's why I feel so conflicted about it, because I feel like it's weird to say that just because they decided to, and brilliant on them, fair play on them to be like, we're going to buck the trend. We actually want it to be actually accessible.
I'm not saying that it should be on just because they're the ones who do it. It's also a really good. I've had like a fantastic experience with it. You may not have, but you only played with Chris, right? I mean, I played with multiple randoms. I enjoy like the experience of this.
And I've enjoyed joining and like I do like the
bloody hard game and the fact that it remains hard when you play it with.
I'll be completely honest with you. My opinion on this game is completely coloured by the fact that I played a bit of it over a 3-day period, and every fucking day I played it, they changed the balance of the game. I can't sit here and say I enjoyed the multiplayer any less or any more, because every time I played it, it was a joke. I'm sorry, and I'm fair play to them for but like at some point you have to say we are making this game and we think this is correct. They constantly keep saying community feedback, and I get that, and it's great to listen, but at some point, what game are you wanting to make?
No, and listen, I don't disagree that they should have, trusted their own decisions more.
They didn't even wait a week. They didn't even put the game out and go, right, we're going to see how this settles. It's like it's not cheap, by the way, to get a patch certified via. It's not so bad on PC, but with PlayStation and Xbox, it's not cheap or easy to get patches certified. Like, they spent a lot of money doing this as well. Like, it is crazy to me. But that's whatever. I just don't get it. I'm with Lyle. I get that it's cool and it's great that they went. We're not going to do what everyone else does. It's like, hallelujah, thank God. Finally someone who's like. The game's hard enough. We just want you to be able to do what you want. Hallelujah. But at the same time, for me, I don't get. I didn't get any of what Mick's explaining with the actual playing of it part. If that makes sense. It just seemed like a Souls game, and I'd be honest with you, I didn't like the setting and didn't like the atmosphere. So.
But it sounds to me like you didn't like the game, not the multiplayer bit of it. And this is not winning Game of the Year. This is not what this conversation is about, and all the update stuff you're talking about. Completely agree with you. For me, it's set a standard for multiplayer in that genre, and it can't change the fact that no one did this before. What it can control is it can go, this is what we think this could be, and we have executed it. I haven't played a game in that genre where when I die, I can jump straight back in. At the point where I died and come
if you
straight
use the
back
password systems, I mean, I've done that. I did that in Bloodborne, and I played through it with other people. And you set a password system, and you can. No, you can't.
No. At the point where I die, I get revived instantly. That doesn't happen.
No.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff that makes it so fluid to keep playing. You start playing and you keep playing. You don't get kicked out at a boss or a bonfire or anything out. You don't get kicked out when you die. You can keep coming back. and there's no penalty, there's no price. It's not like in Remnant 2, you have to sacrifice one of your revives to revive you. You don't have to do any of that. It's just you want to keep playing. You keep going, and you keep going, and it's what it should be. And we all talk about it. From made it so pointlessly convoluted, and Lords of the Fallen is just a great example of saying no. It doesn't have to be the way the people that made the genre made it. It can be fluid and exciting, and you can have an entire evening playing with someone and sticking with them.
I
no matter
agree,
what
but
happens.
it's not them saving the genre. It's them just making the alternate choice. From aren't doing it because they can't. They're doing it deliberately, and then everyone's copying them by choice, by design.
Yeah, but that's not an argument against what they've done with Lords of the Fallen.
No, it isn't. No.
Then we need to vote what we're cutting because we're just going round in circles. Don't we? To be fair, so we are. I mean, we are. We're just like it's not me against you two. There's 5 of us, so I think we need to vote. And but then if you.
What's difficult about the voting is there are 2 that I'd be really happy to cut, and I don't want to accidentally pick one and the other people pick the other, and then because of a majority it fuck up. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I've offered to cut WarioWare, and Chris has offered to cut Call of Duty. So do we vote between those 2 because they're the ones that have the least
I do
behind
think Lords
them?
of the Fallen kind of has to stay with 2 people fighting for it a lot, and I think at the same time as well, I think we're all kind of in agreement that Baldur's Gate 3 sounds like it will be really cool multiplayer. I don't want to cut that at all.
No, I think I think that's where we're at personally. Yeah, WarioWare or Call of Duty.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah.
So
and then the other one will be number 5, I imagine.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
Lyle, you start. What we cut?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Was that me? I'm starting.
Yeah, Lyle, what do you want to cut?
Call of Duty.
Okay, same for me. Chris White.
WarioWare.
Fair. Mick.
Call of Duty.
Chris, not in
I'm
your
glad
strictly...
on this particular example you came to me last week. It doesn't matter.
What would you have cut, genuinely?
I honestly, if you'd given me the choice of ruling, like it was
because you would
2-2,
like WarioWare, you just haven't had a chance to get to it.
I think of our list, I'd have cut Call of Duty for the reason I said earlier, that I think it's the one that you guys don't really want to play, whereas the other ones, everyone's gone, I haven't yet, but I think I'd actually like it, and so therefore for me it gets cut. You're all wrong, but it gets cut.
Top 2 and 1 when we're done, aren't we?
I think so. Yeah,
yeah.
I think so. You beat me to it. I was going to say we don't normally do this, but I think
he said he'd do it. He said he'd do his.
No, I think that's the list.
I think it is.
Yeah.
We've talked about them all. I think that's definitely. I think that's the list. I don't even think we need to go over why. I think it's very clear why from what we've discussed of them all.
You should have been listening.
Yeah. So if you're watching the video, you can see it. Are we locking it? And am I reading it?
Lock it in.
Yeah.
Do it.
Best multiplayer 2023. 5th place is WarioWare Move It. 4th place is Baldur's Gate 3. 3rd place, Lords of the Fallen. 2nd place, Street Fighter 6. And the winner of Best Multiplayer for 2023 is Remnant 2. Huzzah!
Excellent.
What a great category.
Yeah.
Continuing day 3 then, it is Best New Character. And continuing the style, I'm just going to read last year's. The winner was Mio from Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Marissa Marcel from Immortality. Ratatoska from God of War Ragnarok. Savathun from Destiny 2, The Witch Queen, and Dragonlord from Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Oh, your face when you read the Destiny 2 characters. It's so, what the fuck were we on last year? Why do we let Mick in?
No, I remember that, actually. We did let him have that one. Right, Best New Character for 2023. Here's the list. Particio from Octopath Traveler 2. Also from that game, Throne and Casti. Bash from 10 Dates, Turgle from Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Addison from Tears of the Kingdom, Lily from Street Fighter 6, Dave from Dave the Diver, Life Weaver from Overwatch 2. From Final Fantasy 16, we've got Clive, Sid, Torgal and Jill, Ochi from Pikmin 4, Riley from Oxenfree, Garl from Sea of Stars. From Baldur's Gate, we've got Asterion and Karlak, I think. Alan Wake 2, we've got Saga and Ilmo, Solomon Reed from Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, and Fang from Goodbye Volcano High. Now, it goes without saying, perhaps, that this is the sort of...
Dave wins.
Okay. It goes without saying that we probably will have to maybe spoil some stuff at this point in the podcast. So if you've been listening along and you're like, they're not doing any spoilers, day 3 is where it's the halfway point now where we're getting into the business end, and day 4 is obviously we're talking about stories and moments, and then we're going to have to be spoilery from here on in. We try not to if we don't have to here, but just be aware we might. So with that in mind, what are we cutting? Because there's a big old list. And there's some on here that I think could go quite quickly.
I'm going to ask about when I haven't played straight away. And that's and so this is not me asking to cut it or anything like that. Ochi from Pikmin 4. What's the deal? Because I played the demo of Pikmin 4, I haven't played the rest of it.
He's like a big dog, isn't he?
Big dog.
It's just a really lovely big dog that you have with you the whole time. It's kind of the core mechanic of the game is that you've now got a dog, space dog, technically, I suppose. It's not staying on the list. Ochi's just great, and I just wanted to, and there's another one on this list. There's 2 or 3 that we need to just quickly rattle through, I think. Mention them, say why we love them, and move on. And I think Ochi can go. But I do think Ochi's an awesome character. And I'm surprised they haven't done plushies or an amiibo yet.
No, I'm amazed at
all
that stuff.
But yeah, he's gone.
Easy one.
Easy.
Yeah.
Who was the other one you were thinking of? Was it another animal?
Yes.
Turgle
for me.
We need to be really clear between Turgle and Torgle, which I didn't think would be a thing we'd have to say.
It's true, though, isn't it?
Why can't I remember Turgle? Jedi Survivor? Why can't I remember Turgle? Who's Turgle?
It's the weird...
Must be an easy cut.
Space frog thing.
Alien.
The pilot?
No.
He's in the
It's
bar.
literally like you meet him really early on, and it's like the meme-worthy character of the game, and it's on here for the same reason Ochi is, because it's a funny little moment, and we can cut it.
Oh, I couldn't remember the name of it, and I wouldn't have if you'd forced me to. And I did really like that game, so yeah.
And it is it's a funny character, but it's like it's not really gonna win, is it? Like no. Seriously. So we can cut.
Are we also?
Do you know what? No, I'm not going to disagree at all. But like, I would have had Bodhi on this list, but we did obviously.
I don't know who that
is.
is.
Yeah, Cad Bodhi. Yeah,
definitely. His story arc was phenomenal in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I completely forgot.
Is that the bloke?
He's the turncoat, the bounty hunter guy.
The guy who helped
I said we weren't going to spoil, but
what
the one who gives you like the gun?
He's the guy who's with you from the start.
Yeah, the one with the jetpack dude.
Jetpack dude. I should have just said that.
If you said that, I don't know. No, I did get it. I got it. I know me Star Wars. We've had this discussion.
All the lore.
I know all the lore. So Turgle's gone. Ochi's gone. In the spirit of cutting all the animals, Torgle from Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
He's a good boy. But
he's a very good boy. Gives me my heels. It's fine.
Yeah.
Did people have him set as like manual, or were people like me and put the accessory on to just do it 100%
manual, because I didn't want to use up a slot.
Of course you did.
Yeah,
but the amount of times
micromanagement, Chris.
The amount of times I accidentally used potions, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm not at maximum potions. I might die."
My word.
Yeah, I was like, there's actually quite a lot of accessories that I wanted to use. So if I'd had one permanently used because I can't press a D-pad button, like it would have. Yeah, no, I didn't, but I know you guys did. But I'm weird.
I was going to say, don't you dare try and make out that we're the weird ones.
Like
if you're
constantly spamming it, he was going, "He'll be Torgle, he'll be Torgle," like for the entire fucking fight. Like, come on. Anyway, carry on.
If you're lucky enough to bash on 10 dates,
yes, agree.
Then that's great for you.
Well,
who is Bash?
Bash.
What is 10 dates? I was waiting for any game that had date in the title from Lyle. There's always. I presume this is a visual novel.
No.
Is it gay werewolves, or are we not featuring?
No.
I assume that's who Fang is, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Hey, wait a minute. We'll get there when we get there.
Let the man speak. Let the man speak.
So Bash is the.
I thought you were giving me an instruction then. I thought I know we're on camera.
So Bash, Mick. So Bash is the best FMV character of the year. 10 days.
Think about what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying it. I mean, okay, I guess Alan Wake isn't all FMV, but they exist in two worlds, so ignore the part of that.
Nice save.
But yeah, the 10 days.
Bash is a
It's a game about. Bash is a person.
But given that this is his best new character, I'm now intrigued as to what you thought it was.
About Bash. That's what he's saying.
Right,
That's all he's doing.
Yeah. So Bash, by the way, his nickname Bash does come from the act of wanking. So realistically, Mick was actually on the right track. So we need to give him more credit, really. But yeah, at 10 dates, you go speed dating as two different characters. Bash is one of the people you can date. He is like the stereotypical. He is introduced. Everyone gets introduced by a subtitle before you meet them, and his subtitle is lads, lads, lads.
Oh God.
And he's just, the most like young, drinking, having a laugh guy.
You said lads, like God.
Whoa. Well, you've missed. You've jumped too quickly here, because also you get to meet him. There's all these great moments. Like on your second date with him, he comes in laughing, and it's because of one of his friends has sent him the meme where it's a guy around the arm of a girl looking at someone else. Also brilliant. But then once you get to know him, you ask about his tattoo, and he starts crying because it's of his ex who died, and he's this really sensitive, lovely guy, and he's anti-cheating. He comes across as a bit of a lout, but heart of gold. And you can cut him if you want, but he was my love of the year, and he was the first one that I dated all the way through.
Sounds like someone who's got a bleached arsehole to me.
Possibly. I wouldn't like to comment. I didn't unlock that scene.
I sincerely hope that scene is in 10 days.
It's the 10th date.
Date number 10. Bleach bashes.
The secret 10th date.
I think we need to cut Solomon Reed, because I think
peroxide starfish.
Yeah, this has got to be a top 5.
Why do you want to cut Solomon Reed straight away?
Because I think it's got to be a top 5, and I don't think he's going to get there. It's just same reason I'd cut Throne from Octopath Traveler 2's list of 3 as well straight away.
Oh, you're cutting Mick hard here.
Throne is my main character.
Solomon Reed's the only character I put on the list. It's just a really good character, really, really well written, really well acted.
Well, I'd hope so.
I mean, I know you haven't played Phantom Liberty, have you?
No, I mean, I've played the updated version of the game, but I know Chris has. Chris White.
I've finished
I was hoping Whitey might back me up on this one, to be honest.
Yeah,
he's not doing it at the moment. But...
Well, I was letting him talk. Don't
do that.
Because I do think he's a really good character. I do think he was one of the best characters from games I've played this year. I know I haven't played an awful lot of story games and gotten really into them, but yeah, he's just a really good character. Like Idris Elba's like, if you're going to follow Keanu Reeves with somebody, he's one of the top 5. You could, Idris Elba, or you go Tom Hardy, or you pick someone who's just fucking Cillian Murphy. They're these cool guys that are just. But he's just a fantastic character. He's just really well written. He's really nuanced as well. Like because he kind of plays a foil to Johnny Silverhand, and because of the way the Phantom Liberty DLC integrates into the rest of Cyberpunk 2077, he can pop up through the rest of the game as well. He's not just confined to his own little story and his own little arc, but there's more to it. Because Phantom Liberty is its own story as well, and because it is an espionage story, it's all cloak and dagger. Like there were periods where I was playing it, and when you're just playing a game and you've got a character that you just can't tell if he's a good guy or a bad guy, but you really hope he's a good guy because you really, really like him. It's that kind of character, and it's a character that's written in a way that keeps you guessing and keeps you on your toes. And even when he's helping you, even when you're doing things with him that are ostensibly good, and you're wondering about his motives as a video game character, I think that's really cleverly done. I think it's a really good way of doing characterization. I know Cyberpunk does that anyway. Like Johnny Silverhand's a fantastic character, I think. Even if you don't like him, he's written in a way that you might not, because he's abrasive and he's drunk and he's horrible. Solomon Reed's not, he's just really fucking cool character. He's like one of those characters that's just in command of everything. There's a bit like where you go into like a gala, which is I think I've added it to best moments. It's not for this reason, but there's like a big gala, and like the bad guys hosting like a ball for rich people, and like so you go in there with Solomon Reed, and for a period of time he disappears while you're doing other things, and the game kind of leads you to believe that he might be off doing something nefarious or something like cloak and dagger and underhand. And then when you find out where he's kind of just been taking a kicking so you didn't get one. It's like, and little things like that sort of character, it's just really cool. And I don't know, I felt a real sort of connection to the character, like I did with Keanu Reeves' character in that game, which is why he's on the list. I mean, cut it if you want. If Chris isn't going to back me, then no one is, and that's just the way it is. But I think to just dismiss him as an instant, like I think he was a more interesting character than fucking Saga Anderson from Alan Wake 2. I didn't really gel with Saga's character a lot in that game. But, you know, that's a discussion for later on in the list. But I do think he's an easy cut to say you're the only one who really played him or played the game. But I think to just dismiss him as a quick cut and say, well, I think that's a bit unfair, because he is a really, really well written and well acted, well directed character.
I mean, I think all of them on this list are on there for a reason. I mean, it's just there's 18 of them, so I just picked one I didn't know nothing about, really.
That's fair. But let's hear about some others. Because I agree with everything you said. And I think when it gets late in the game in Phantom Liberty and you have an opinion of him, and then, depending on your choices, he acts. Well, you can become confrontational with him, or you cannot. But whatever, when you find out his reasonings behind the things he's doing, and he's being protective when he might not seem protective at first, he's very complex for saying he's just this.
Two very specific, difficult choices within as well, because the moral side of the character, the way he's written, on balance, is just really, really, it's really good. Like I can't describe the like not just the arc he has, but the character, the levels that this guy has within the game world it's just really, really good writing, really good characterization.
I think we should cut Throne, and that's the character I chose to play as my main in Octopath Traveler. But we've got to get this down to 5, and there's 3 Octopath Travelers, and I think her story is really interesting. But her character, which is what this category is like. I'm not as into her character as I am Particio or Casti, for example.
And 3 are not going to make the top 5.
No, nor should they really, let's be fair.
No.
But like Throney's an easy cut for me, because like I say, her story, which we can talk about more in the grander scheme of things tomorrow, is great and really interesting, and one of the darker ones, although they've all kind of got their moments in a lot of ways. But like Throne, I guess her character is kind of maybe the most archetypal, tropey kind of, not stereotypical, but the kind of it's I would say perhaps the least complicated, like motivationally.
Maybe not of everyone, but out of
no, that's fair.
Yeah,
of these 3, perhaps. Yeah,
100% out of these 3.
So I would say she's a cut, just to get this moving a little bit.
I can get it moving, right?
I'm a cut Throne, though. Hang on.
Oh, sorry.
I can
get it moving. Because let's be honest, Life Weaver isn't making a top 5, right? He was put on there because he's a new character from this year. I quite like playing as him, but every time he opens his cunning mouth, I want him to shut up. And I don't.
Yeah.
And he's called Life Weaver. Like, could they not have thought of other than Wife Leaver, which is a hilarious, like. It's up there with Ted Baker and Bed Taker, but like it's like other than that, it's like okay, he's a healer and he's called Life Weaver. It's like fucking just call him Dave or Sid or something. Well, obviously, bad examples given these 2 names on the list, but you know what I mean. Just call him Steve, like just something better. Yeah, he's gone.
Lyle.
Call him Lyle.
Lyle Weaver.
Lyle Weaver. Lyle Weaver.
Better than Lyle 2. Lyle Weaver. There you go.
Perfect. Coming next year to Patreon.
I'll tell you what I could ask though. Of the 3 Final Fantasy 16 characters, one of them is a bit of a fucking plank of wood for most of them.
Yes, I thought the same.
Clive is the standard broody, pissed off, miserable Final Fantasy protagonist that you just want to fucking smile. You know what I mean? You've got a fucking great sword in your back. All the ladies want to mac on you. You're strutting around the kingdom.
He's not had the best life, though. I think he's got a
Yeah.
reason to be moody. It's not just that he's not getting his
Let's
dick
have a
in
little
someone.
balance,
Yeah,
though. I mean,
No, but look,
talking
what I
about
would
that,
say.
I mean, what I'm saying is, like, there's not much.
There's no nuance to his character because they do
Exactly.
that fucking tropey thing of, look, yes, I agree with you, Lyle. He has every reason to be miserable, but not many people, even who have been through some shit in their life, spend every minute of every waking moment like that. And they forgot to add, for want of a better phrase, they forgot to add any colour to his character. He is just one note down the
I
line.
feel like
he doesn't even roll around the floor with his fucking therapy dog. I mean, it's like just.
I think I do think it's a shame that some of the I won't spoil the specific moments, but I do think some of the brief moments where they actually do round or show different sides to his character is locked behind side missions.
Yes.
I do think that's a shame because it's actually really good, and we'll talk about side missions.
Chocobo, for example.
Yeah,
that's a side mission. It's missable.
Yeah, and I think that's a real shame because I can't argue with you if you just mainline the story like that guy is standard character like you just described. Like yes, there is reasons for some of it, like except that I think that's the miss for Clive. I'm not going
to dismiss the character's backstory.
But you are right, but I think the point I'm making is there is roundedness in there. I still think it would be a cut even with it, but I think they seem to only put it inside stuff for most of the time, apart from the end, which we won't talk about now. So I agree.
My argument is that Final Fantasy 16 has got a great story, which we will discuss. But of the characters, like if you said only one of those characters,
exactly that. Yeah,
Clive ain't making it. So
we cutting Clive
100%.
then. We cutting Clive.
Clive's gone.
Okay.
Clive's gone.
Right. Well, we're getting there.
Saga.
Yeah.
Right. I thought Saga was quite an average character for the main.
Yeah,
she's a character that stuff happens to. That's what I.
No, but I think some of this is by design. No, but I think she's supposed to be very.
That shouldn't be the case.
She's very much a foil to Alan, isn't she? Because he's very.
I know
much,
it's I know it's his story, but when you're playing as the other character, like with The Last of Us Part 2, you don't even know you're playing as another character. When you do start playing as Abby.
Is Saga a real character, a real person? And the reason I say that is because I think that is... I'm not defending this like it's the best of all time, but I think a lot of that is intentional. For example, when she... You know, they do the thing where she sat in her...
Mind place.
Place.
Sorry.
Yeah,
dropping A.
I should know that by the amount of times she fucking says it.
Yeah, she does.
It's not a palace. It is inspired by the Mind Palace.
But when she does that, they do that thing where it's like, let's frame her centre spot, people talking behind her, and she's like, yes, blah, blah, blah. I do think that is by design and intentional, because I still don't know, I haven't finished it, if she's actually real.
No, that's fair, right?
I think as well she's...
That's probably a reason as good a reason as any to cut her.
That's fine, but like, you still got to play the whole game pretty much
100%.
You know, so you still got to go for it. You still got to care about them. And my point about The Last of Us is that you didn't care about Abby, but the writing and the way that game went made...
You end up
by the end of it, probably Abby Ellie.
I fucking did, but you'd be pointless as a character to start with. You didn't,
I remember Chris and I playing that pre-release, and when they...
cut to it. I know what you mean.
Look, we said we'd do spoiling. I know that's not on the list, but when you start playing as Abby, there's no one, I don't believe, who isn't at first like, oh, come on. But by the end of it, you're like, it's great. I'm really happy they did that. And I always wanted to get through Saga's bits to go back to Alan Wake, which isn't a good sign. So I was kind of the other way. I was the opposite. I was the opposite, but I would also say, to be clear, if they made Alan Wake 3 and she wasn't in it,
yeah.
See, I liked her parts of the game more than I liked her.
I think that's
why. I think that's fair.
Like her boss fights. Like she has all the boss fights, I think. So and like because Alan's they're very different, like set pieces and things like that he had. And I mean, he did steal. We will talk about him like a lot of his stuff in best moments. He did steal the. It's his game, so you know he did get some of the better moments, and she didn't. I just think, I agree with Chris on this one. I don't think she's in the top 5 best characters.
No, I think both the Alan Wake
she's
characters have to
perfectly
go.
serviceable as a character. She's an interesting enough,
she is a vessel for the human avatar
but
that
she is
us.
a vehicle for the plot. Yeah. So
and it's
she's
not a bad
audience
one. Like, I
advocate.
think it's perfectly. She's perfect. This is going to sound horrible. Mick, don't take this the wrong way. She's perfectly serviceable as that foil for that part of the story. It's not like you're sitting there fucking going like it's so awfully written or whatever or executed. It's just
no.
It's not standout like that.
She is a vessel to allow you to explore these really interesting
she's
worlds
advocate.
and things.
She's you as the player, whereas Alan's so fucking bonkers and out there. It's hard to relate, but she's for you to relate to because.
And to be absolutely clear, we don't really know if Alan Wake's even real, let alone whether Saga is. So, like, she's gone. I think Ilmo has to go as well from this list. I really do. Top 5 of the year.
I think if you don't like fun and exciting characters, that Ilmo has to go.
No, I agree with you, but it's best.
Ilmo, he'd be on my list easily. I think the first moment.
Which one of the brothers is this, by the way?
Ilmo is the older brother, the
one that talks the most.
The one, yeah. The other, I don't think Jacko. I think is the other one. Yakko.
Yes,
I don't think he would be the one who you'd pick because he basically doesn't do that much. But for Ilmo, I'd say I think it's easy to dismiss him because he's fucking comic relief the first time you meet him for sure. The first time you watch an advert of them shilling one of their businesses in a ridiculous and like low budget local like TV style, like I think it's immediately that. But then alongside that, like he actually does quite a lot in the game. He has quite an important role in the town.
I had a lot more respect for the character once you progress past a certain point in the story and realize certain things. If you know what I mean, I'm trying not to spoil because I don't need to.
Yeah. Totally.
But I'll be honest, like if I hadn't played up to a certain point, I'd be like, it's funny in TV adverts, but that's not enough.
I just don't think it's top 5.
I don't think it's top 5.
I mean, if he isn't for you guys, that's fine. He would be for me. That's fine.
I remember
too.
wanting him to shut the fuck up most of the times that if I'm thinking of it's the brothers, right?
Yeah.
The Costella brothers.
And Ilmo's the one you meet first, right? Ilmo's the one you meet.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the machine, the box.
By the machine where the FBC guy is tampering with it, and he wouldn't have been on my list.
I want to be completely honest. I thought it was the janitor until you started talking.
No, he wouldn't be a new character either.
That's Artie.
I know.
Yeah. But who is great, by the way, but he's not new.
No,
he is a great character.
So what are we doing with Ilmo?
I mean, it sounds like he's going because I think 4 people have said he's going.
Okay.
So
okay, fair enough.
Okay, I'm willing to talk about Astarion, and I'm willing to cut him.
Of the 2 on that list,
my boy,
Karlak's sorry, I'm jumping the gun, but
What were you going to say?
I was going to say Karlak's too fucking awesome.
Which one's Karlak?
Thank you.
The big red.
Good.
Okay, I have
red
that.
So the thing is, like all of most of these characters will be in the list for me.
Astarion is also awesome. That's
why he's on this list, right? And the only reason I suggested cutting Shadowheart is because she broke my fucking heart. So that's why she's gone. But Astarion's story from being this.
I fucked my relationship with Shadowheart.
It's really annoying, and he's like he's just trying to tag along, and it's all this like giving it all this, but you start to listen to him, start to understand him, you start to grow close to him. He's just lost. He's been this enslaved vampire for hundreds and hundreds of years. He's been in an abusive relationship with his master. So he's a sufferer of domestic abuse, which is like abuse is a theme in Baldur's Gate and redemption as well. But abuse, like he's been treated. He basically was sent off to go and bite people, bring them back where his master Cazador would be enslaved. And that's why I'm not going to talk too much about that because that's a moment. But as Astarion, he's so fragile, but he puts on this fake kind of like, oh darling, all that like this, you know, he's so like outgoing,
flamboyant, and he's
flamboyant,
He's amazing.
outgoing. He
Stephen Fry.
pain.
It reminds me of Stephen Fry, who was
pain.
very similar,
Yeah,
and then
it does,
eventually
yeah.
had a
And
mental
like,
health issue, didn't he?
I didn't romance him, but I know that the romance options for him, he lets that guard down. And like watching the videos of that, like Neil Newborn is nominated for a reason at the Game Awards. Like there's a reason why he is nominated. He puts in everything, and a lot of personal stuff he does as well. He puts into this character, but you can read up on that. But like, so you go from this really like outgoing, like irritating vampire who he could turn on. You feel like he's going to turn on you any minute. Ends up becoming really close. You're really close with him, and he's also fucking awesome. Like you need him in your party if you want to, like pick anything, steal, pickpocket. Like in conversations, is lucky. So like really important decisions. If you've got him doing the talking, you're gonna roll a couple of d20s rather than one, and then you've got the extra like modifiers on top of that. So as a gameplay element, Astarion's awesome to have in your party, and also in combat. Like he's got sneak attacks and he's got a wealth of options. He might not be as powerful, but power isn't. It's not what it's all about. It's not about hitting the hardest, it's about hitting the smartest, and like he is amazing at that. But as a character as well, he's fantastic. And like, I think he's an excellent character, but I think Karlach is better, and we'll get into her in a bit because I'm not ready yet. But that's what I think of him, and I know I've just talked about it really passionately.
Yeah,
I could almost flip a coin on these two. If you were going to say one has to go and one
I'll stop
has
you there.
to
That
stay.
is not the case, and I think both of these could end up being locks, and I don't see a reason
that's
why they shouldn't be.
Because I agree with Chris on everything he says on Asteria, and I know we're not going to talk about Karlach yet. And when
we can, because I think we're locking them both in, and then we may as well get into it.
Because Karlach again. I mean, this is a character as well that I missed for a good chunk of the game. Like I didn't even a good chunk of my playthrough of the first act. I didn't find Karlach, and even when I did, because you've got without spoiling it, you've got the dynamic between her and Will, and and you kind of have to make a choice as soon as you meet her. Like you've got to pass a check to not have Will try and kill her. But her character is one that once I found her, she didn't leave my party. She didn't leave my party. That's
very much where I'm at.
Because it wasn't just like her story's great. They've all got, but the trouble is with Baldur's Gate 3 is that all the party members have got great stories.
Yeah, but these two are on here for a reason.
Yeah, well, they're standouts, and
right.
Karlach's. It's not just her story that's good; it's her entire character, her entire persona of what she is. Because she's like a tiefling warrior. She's like this huge. She's built.
But she's kind of like Chris said about abuse as being a theme. Like her story is kind of sort of similar to Asterion.
Yeah.
But different. The names
so
change.
This is what you learn throughout, and this is the good thing about this game and the way they develop characters, is that you get this on the surface. She's like, "All right, lads, let's go drink some beer."
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Like that outward appearance of her, but
that never disappears. Like she's always, and you need that sometimes because you have to make some really tough decisions. You can lose people in combat for good forever, and she's always there, and she's always there to pick you up, or like. If you make a decision, she's like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it," and like she's amazing in that sense. And but her story, you find out she was in Faerun long before, and she was in Baldur's Gate, and she was like a bodyguard for Enver Gortash, who's like one of the main baddies of the game. And he basically betrays her and sells her to a demon, and she gets sent there to fight in this thing called the Blood War. And she gets this heart put in her, which is like an infernal engine. And when she's not in Avernus, which is like the first level of hell, so when she's in Faerun and in Baldur's Gate, that heart can kill her, and she can't touch anyone. And that's a big thing for a while. She can't be touched because if anyone, like, she can't fall in love, she can't hug a friend, she can't do anything. She just can't touch, and she can't be
Very
touched.
Tales of Arise, Chris.
Just about to say.
And then, like, part of her story is for you to help ease that.
Yep.
And like, again, we'll get to the end and how that factors into moments. But like, as a character, you need her in your party because she's incredibly powerful. She's got incredible moveset, and the things you unlock per level is fantastic. But it's her optimism. You need that optimism. She's also funny. She's so funny and so childlike in a sense as well. And when you do, when there's a moment where you do calm that infernal engine to the point where you can hug her, it's like, well, let's just point out, I love this woman, and perfectly platonically, like, she was my best friend in this game, and from the start to the end, she is a character that is just phenomenally written, phenomenally acted. As a gameplay element, she's one of the best. You always want her by your side because going into a tough fight, she is going to back you up no matter what, and she will always be, top level for you. But as a story and as a character, and her development, her story,
I just liked having her around as well. Like, I just liked having her around for like the little conversation pieces, and like
I think these. Sorry, Mick. I think these two are locked.
No,
I think we need to move to cut something. I think Lily Street Fighter 6 needs to be cut.
Yeah, I think what that does actually, the whole Baldur's Gate 3 conversation is, I think it draws into stark context almost the simplicity of some more cuts. Because...
But this is why I sort of initially wanted to cut Solomon Reed, because it's like I could see this coming.
Yeah.
I can also see at least two on this list that there is not a chance Chris, Hyde, myself, or Lyle budge on. And I hate to do this, but if we're keeping Baldur's Gate 3, both of them, I think we have to start getting savage here, because there is no world in which Garl isn't on this list. There is, for me, and if I'm wrong, this is where Chris, Hyde, and Lyle can correct me, I don't think there's any world in which Particio isn't on this list.
I'm pretty much with you there.
Which means basically that Particio, Garl, Asterion, and Karlach are locks.
I mean, yes.
I think
that's not to say that it could potentially unlock at some point in a spicy moment, but like
no. But what
if you also locked Sid from Final Fantasy 16, I think I'd be happy to discuss that.
Absolutely disagree with you. Could not disagree with you more on that. I think he's
really
an easy cut. I can't take that character seriously at all, because that voice actor does exactly the same voice as the character in Diablo. So everything that comes out of his mouth, I don't buy it.
I mean, it's more Kettle
really
Over a
like
Pub
the
for me.
character,
I can't unhear Kettle Over a Pub when I hear Sid.
Oh yeah. I don't think it's badly written character, and I don't think he's a bad character, but he's also not. He's not as an important a character compared to some of these other ones, and in terms of how long he's in the game. I say his voice acting he's the only character in the game that does this. All the other voice actors, like even Clive, they do a great job with the script they've done, but they're putting on a voice. They're putting on a character. Sid, for me, could just be the character that he plays in Diablo.
He's the Sean Bean of video games.
Yeah.
To be really clear, to be clear as well, he's only doing what he's been asked to do by the producer.
Yeah, no.
But for me, I don't, compared to some of these, like we're not. I think Dave's the other lock, and that's the 5. And I think not that I just want to go, let's not talk about any of them and cut them. For me, I just don't see how we're going to get to a 5 that doesn't include Particio, Garl, Dave, and the way that Chris and Mick have spoken. And to be fair, Lyle, not as much, but he was nodding along to the Asterion and Karlach stuff.
I'd like to hit what Lyle has to say about Asterion.
I think what I can go into that more towards the end. And to be clear as well, how you felt about Karlach, I didn't not feel, and I also feel like both of these characters, and realistically, if we were going to have got down to it and maybe had all played all of Baldur's Gate 3, it could maybe just be 5 characters from Baldur's Gate 3. It's probably the best characters game of this year. But no, I just loved Asterion for everything you said, really. I thought yeah, he was a character that came across very brash, very like just like he had on a front, but was just sort of being a dick. And then, you know, you get to find out more about his trauma. He was the one I romanced, and yeah, I really connected with him. But the same, what you were saying about Carl, like I also like
It's
like,
already locked in, right?
But this,
yeah,
this
exactly.
I mean, I'm
is
not
like, I feel like we need to.
Because like there's
talk
characters
about
on here
these.
like Fang.
That's
Jill,
what I'm saying. I
haven't
think we need to
discussed.
start getting
Yeah.
really, really not aggressive, but we need to
Like
cut
I presume
these
Fang
because-
is a Lyle.
Yes.
Yeah, I can talk about Fang. That's fine. Fang's not going to make the list because only I played Goodbye Volcano High. But Fang is this is a great thing to say, by the way. So this is just the next few words are great. Fang is a non-binary pterodactyl who
There it is.
That's just a
There it
great
is.
sentence to say.
This year's gay
Yeah.
werewolf is a non-binary pterodactyl.
Yeah. So yeah, Fang, non-binary pterodactyl, who is like basically to all intents and purposes, Goodbye Volcano High is a Life is Strange game if it was set with dinosaurs instead of angsty teens. But yeah, Fang is the protagonist. They are basically they've have sort of come out as non-binary fairly recently. They have a lot of they're like sort of finding themselves, their sense of fashion, and alongside that is sort of dealing with the fact that they're in like a band. They're kind of like the main sort of star of this band, and their two best friends are both kind of like drifting a bit away from the band because they're finding other interests in their life, and then alongside that, or more drama happens and more huge events that kind of disrupt what Fang's dream is. Like, there's just a lot of layers to the character, and yeah, I was really, really, really impressed. Really glad to play a game that has a non-binary main character. Can't really think of a whole lot of them in video games. Wanted to give them a shout out. Also think Goodbye Volcano High was a great game, and a game that a lot of people were kind of like excited for, and then came out this year after not coming out on all the other years that maybe would have been good to.
It doesn't half feel to me like I don't want to almost sully what you've said with a joke, but it really does feel like the most quintessential character on this list of in any other year.
Oh, for sure. Like I'm
take
sure we've had
out
years-
Octopath, take out Sea of Stars and Baldur's Gate, and Fang's making it by the sounds of it.
100%, and I'd be fighting for Fang in a year where there weren't so many that I was like, God, they're such a high lock that I can't even begin to pretend that I'm going to push Fang over at least 3 on this list, and that's just me personally. The only person who's played the game.
Curiously for me, I know we've said like we all sort of said Partitio, but would you even have Fang over Casti? Would that be closer?
I would, yeah.
Okay. But even then, you'd be up against it, wouldn't you? Like, it would be...
Yeah, exactly. Like,
so
it's a great character, but it's unfortunately not going to happen. But
and can I cut Lily?
Play Goodbye Volcano High if they can.
Yeah, I did want to. I must admit. Shall we cut Lily from Street Fighter 6 as well? Not that
I'm struggling to remember who Lily was.
Yeah,
well, I mean that says it all. It's one of the new characters.
She was the new characters with the.
Yeah,
I think I know who it is.
Yeah, you do. It's the young girl.
Yeah, the young girl. Yeah.
But I think that was one that got put on this list quite early.
Yeah.
I'd probably cut Riley from Oxford.
I mean, mate, we got to cut on near enough all of these.
I mean, I'm amazed. Can I just say, I'm amazed that Addison has made it this long on this
I think
list.
we just didn't see it.
I don't know who Addison is.
Addison's the sign holder.
Guys just holds up signs, but he's so nice. His entire life's work is making straight signs across Hyrule, and he's so endearing with it, but he's got the same 5 lines of dialogue repeated over and over.
He's gone. He's gone. I've actually forgotten his name as I've cut him, and I now can't remember what his name was. It was Allison. So I'm looking at Aster.
I even told you what it was, and you cared so little you didn't listen.
But no, it's because Asterian's on there, and it's bolded, and I keep seeing that, and I can only take so much information in. I really, really want to cut Sid next. I really do. I have to be honest. I
get it.
He was my favourite, but I get it.
He's mine too.
I'd sooner cut both the Final Fantasy 16s than Solomon Reed.
I wouldn't be against cutting both of them either.
I think that's absolutely fine to do. I think Solomon Reed's going to end up getting cut as well, but I don't think that's going to go the way you think.
Well, it's not the way I think. I think he deserves to be in a top 5. He does, in my opinion. So,
but I think Dave the Diver deserves to be on a top 5.
I don't think so as a character. This is going to go well, isn't it?
I don't think Dave is a great. Dave's a fun character, but he's.
I think there's.
He's just a vehicle for doing stuff in the plot. He doesn't have particular nuance and depth. And
let's slow down here a bit. Slow down a bit.
There
are we cutting Sid? Are we cutting Sid first?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, hang on. What I'm saying is just to speed it up. I think there are 3 here that no one's going to fight for top 5, which is Sid, Jill, and Riley.
Yeah,
that's fine with me.
Yeah.
They're great characters, but I feel like it's going to get spicy soon. And so I feel like let's at least get down to.
Well, before we cut them all, what I do want to say about Jill is I think they get so close.
Yeah,
so close.
No, I agree.
And then towards the end of the story, to the end of her arc, they just literally fall off a cliff and they forget that she's a real person with real that matters. Like she just becomes a tool, and they drop her. They drop her.
Yeah, I agree. She almost becomes, sadly, the woman of Clive, and I just feel like that's a shame. And yeah, I agree.
They rob her of her personality that she's actually built up. I'd argue of all of the Final Fantasy characters we had on this list, she is the most well developed until that point where they rob her of all of her personality. She becomes just Clive's missus.
She has a really again, I won't spoil, but she has a really good peak when she's part of the main story, and you go, "Oh fuck me, this is really interesting," and then it just sort of goes off.
They spend a lot of that game making her less and less important as time goes on.
Yes.
And I think that's a shame because I thought she was pretty cool. Riley, I can't say an awful lot about. I remember the game and it's fine. I just.
It was a really cool character, and obviously voiced really well and executed really well.
Mm-hmm.
But she can kind of be shaped a little bit by your responses to how much of a dick you want to be to the other characters.
Yeah.
And done well no matter how much of a dick you are. So that's good. But I guess
I would argue that makes her kind of the most Avatar-like of the characters.
Yes, there is
in
a
that
piece
you
where you
are
say,
given
well,
3,
you're
options.
not a set character because you can be, you're a jack of all trades.
You are essentially creating her character.
Yeah, I do still like her. I do feel like there's an element to her of any other year. It maybe, but I don't. Compared to this list, no.
Well, let's read what we've got left. Then we have currently got Particio. We have got Casti, Dave from Dave Diver, Garl, Asterion, Karlach, and Solomon Reed. That's where we are right now.
Mm-hmm. And that's 7, right? So we need to get rid of 2 and then try and rank them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyone?
I cut Dave before I cut Solomon Reed. And not because I dislike Dave. I love Dave.
We do need to talk about this because I'm genuinely curious, like I was with the Baldur's Gate conversation. I haven't played enough of Dave the Diver to understand why that character, not the game, but the character, is so interesting. That's what I want to understand and hear. Yeah,
but he's not
he's a character. He's a vehicle for the player. He doesn't make decisions in the game. He doesn't have a personality that you don't impose on him or take from the fact that he's just a jolly fat guy.
Yeah, and I love that he's a jolly fat guy.
Really always optimistic, and you get that vibe from him. But I don't think that in a list of characters, if we're talking characters, we're talking in acting, we're talking. It's not there. It's not the same.
I was really surprised when Adam said he would be the 5th lock because I was like, oh. Okay, he was one where he was on the list. I kind of thought it was a joke almost.
No, in my defense, I thought everyone was going to get rid of Casti quickly as well, and so I was like, well, I've got to hang on to one here I like for the 5th. Okay. I would be happy to cut Dave. Look, for me, cut Dave, cut Solomon Reed. There's your 5. Is that 5?
Beautiful. Yeah, that is.
That is 5. That's good because for a minute I looked at it, it seemed like it was 6
don't
still.
make it hard.
That's what I do. I'm happy to cut Dave if we're cutting Dave.
The thing The thing about the Solomon Reed thing.
Well, no, hang on, because we can't keep talking about the same characters when we haven't talked about Casti or Porticio or Garl. And
I just think you torpedoed Solomon Reed right out of the gate, like you just wanted him gone, and I don't understand why in particular when he is.
It was just literally there was 18 on the list, and it seemed like one that not many people have played. There was no ulterior motive other than that, and he's still here now, so that's fine. But we do have to get rid of 2, and I think Dave's gone.
Delete Dave. Talk to me about Casti.
Mr. Hyde?
Oh, okay.
Because we haven't discussed Particio, have we? I know you said he was a lock at sight unseen, but we haven't discussed specifically why he banned Casti from that game when Throne was an easy cut.
Yeah, I think there's a few things. So, and I'm sure the guys will chip in, but I think from my point of view, there is similar elements to her and Particio in the sense that Casti is pure good, and we will come on to another character who is pure good, I'm sure, in a few moments as well. But I mean, Casti, she's an apothecary. She has set up a wandering troupe, if you like, of apothecaries, literally just to go around the country and do good and do everything she can and learn all the skills and learn her trade of being an apothecary just to better the world. And doesn't take sides in war and doesn't judge people and just wants people to be healed and to be well and wants all, I guess, badness in the world to be good. And I just adore that, because everything that she does, she selflessly does for the betterment of everybody else. And so there's that endearing character trait. But then when you throw in her story, and I appreciate that stories another time, but this is a character within that story. You know, she has amnesia, for want of a better word, and doesn't know what's led her to the situation where the start of her Octopath Traveler 2 story is. And there's a lot of like uncertainty and confusion that she has to work through, but it never sets her off the path of good. And as she goes through her story, she uncovers some horrible things that have happened to her and the people that she's held dearest in this crusade for goodness. And she never wavers in her quest to still keep doing what she believes is right, even if it requires the ultimate sacrifice. And I just think, she, for me, she's the embodiment of selflessness. There's another character who is also, but from a different angle. In
well, see, you're sort of describing Particio to me in a lot of ways.
There is very similar. Like, I think there's a lot of similarities between the characters.
What I was going to say is, it feels like what you're saying, if I may, is that you're almost saying, for what, I hate this phrase, but I feel seen. Like, for me, what you're saying is 100%. They kind of made you in a game, and that's how I feel about Particio, because no matter how many times he's good to people and lovely and honest and nice and gets shat on for it, most normal people will go, I ain't doing this anymore. I'm going to be a bad guy, because fuck everyone. And yet Particio, like Casti, no matter how many times, and it ain't about how many times you get knocked down, it's about how many times you get back up. And the dude just keeps piping. No, I will trust in the good of people. I will trust in the good of people, even when really you probably shouldn't. Like, let's face it.
Yeah, the world isn't nice.
And I think also, while we're doing it, that's why Garl's a massive lock as well, because it's the same. It's slightly different, but it's the selflessness. It's the, I just want to be there for my friends, for my family. I just want to be... These are 3 characters that are just... There is... It's... When you get baddies in games, they forget to put in like shades of grey often. You get like, this character's so bad, it's stupid, it's unbelievable. You don't often see the opposite end of that, where they just put in these wonderfully good... Like, Nathan Drake is not a good guy. You know what I mean? It's that argument. He murders, like, so many people without, like, I want to see the Telltale version of Nathan Drake, the therapy years. Do you know what I mean? Because, like... But like that, so that they don't bother with it. Whereas the Particio, Casti, and Garl are the 3 characters that are just like, they embody good. They are the complete opposite. There is no shades of grey in that they have bad bits in them. They're just good. And they
managed to all do that while also being totally different characters.
Yes.
They're not all bland, I'm always good characters. There's like
that's
a lot of depth to all of them, and it's really interesting. And I mean, it would be really hard to cut any of those three for me. And I think I'd kind of forgotten how much I liked Casti because she wasn't my favourite within that game.
I would.
Well,
It's not a moment on the list, but I was thinking, Lyle, about this because I've been playing Octopath recently. I don't know what chapter it is when you're Casti, but when basically she's gone to a place where they all hate her, and she doesn't really know why, but she still goes around tending to the wounded soldiers, and then goes out and into the battle and saves people, and it's like. Like these are special characters that I won't forget. Like we talked about before. I went back to the game because I didn't finish it with Partition and Casti. Like, I was 45 hours and I'd gone back to it now, and I'm more. And they are that game's amazing. The combat's amazing, but they are two of the reasons where I was like, I can't leave this not finished.
Mm-hmm.
I can't leave these characters in limbo. I can't do it, and. Someone's got to go, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we know what it's going to be. Just do it. There's no point me arguing any further, is there?
I mean, I do think
there isn't. It is.
It's not. Chris likes him as well. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know
but
what
that
Chris
is not
has played.
gonna-
I'm not going to have an impact because I would keep Solomon Reed over Casti, but three of you won't. So I think it's obvious who's going.
Felt like he was just dismissed out of hand initially, and he's just a really good character. Like,
But we haven't dismissed him out of
it's a big
hand.
deal,
You've talked about him loads. Chris has talked about him loads. I can't talk about him because I haven't played it. I'm not dismissing him. I can't. I can add
fair
nothing
enough.
to it.
But
is
I
what I'm
just
saying.
said, you know.
But it's not been dismissed out of hand. I just picked him because I didn't realise that Chris had played him. I forgot, and I thought that nobody else had played him, and it seemed like an easier cut because we had 18 to cut down to 5. It was not picking on Phantom Liberty. It was not picking on Idris Elba or something. I was just looking at a list going,
Stop picking on Idris Elba, Adam, for God's sake.
But no, I mean,
we need to agree this though. So is this because there's two ways you can look at it, isn't there? Right? You can say it's bluntly 3 versus 2 in terms of support for the character, and that's the reason between 5 and 6, because that's what we're talking about here. It's literally between 5 and 6. It's not like, you know, early cut, late cut, or anything like that. It's between position 5 and 6. And I think wherever the other one goes, it's the other one's 5 from what we're all talking about, which is what the rule we've used in previous rounds. So the one way you can look at it is that. The other way you can look at it is, you know, do both those characters deserve to be in the top 5 versus a mix? And I don't know if that's the right way of looking at it. I don't know.
We are just like, what I'm not quite understanding is if Mick and Chris want to keep Solomon Reed, that's all good. But why, like Asterion and Carla, you, Chris Hyde, have no care for Baldur's Gate 3, like, so, and I'm not asking.
No, I will say that this chat has. I was going to message you guys privately going, I'm blatantly playing this game loads over Christmas. I have to experience these things. I'm saying no, I don't. There are 3 characters here I can't talk to. I've met Astarion and can relate to the first part of Chris's sentence describing him, where he comes across as a bit of a dick vampire. But I can't relate to all the bit that becomes afterwards because I've not seen it. I'm glad that it's true, but I can't talk to it. So there are 3 on
what
here.
I'm trying to say is that, like, Mick wants very obviously to keep Solomon Reed, and that's absolutely fine. And Chris White wants to keep Solomon Reed, and that's obviously very fine. But I don't see why it's just come down to we're just saying, right, the Baldur's Gate 3 ones are locks, and the Octopath 2 ones might have to go because of Solomon Reed. I'm saying, are we absolutely sure that we are having 2 of Octopath and 2 of Baldur's Gate? Because I can't speak to Karlach as much as Chris and Mick, because I have not got that far in it. Asterion, for the same reasons. I can see it. You can see, with what you've said, you can see it, if you know what I mean. I can definitely see those roots. But if I don't want to just say, let's cut Solomon Reed then, because I can't really speak to any of those 3 on this list as well as those 2. But I don't think it's fair that it should just be like, well, if I can't have Solomon Reed, then it should be Casti, or why should it be Casti or Karlach or Asterion? Do you know what I mean? Like,
you're making sure we cut the right one to get to the top 5.
We locked those Baldur's Gate 3 ones very early on, despite the fact that you, Chris, haven't seen any of that experience, and I have seen very little of it. I think Lyle's seen a decent amount of it. Chris, I know, seen, and Mick, obviously. But which ones? It very suddenly became Phantom Liberty versus Octopath, and I don't like it because I don't see why Baldur's Gate is just no. We're just you know.
I mean, I haven't played enough of Octopath to have got deep into the characters like you guys have, and I've got it. I just haven't had a chance, and I like it. And I didn't dislike any of the characters, but I couldn't vote for them against anybody else on this list. Even like, and I know I had my reservations about Garl at the beginning of the game, but that character has a fucking arc.
But Mick, what we're still now doing Octopath against Solomon. What I'm asking is why should the three of us at the top of this video, so to speak, on the screen, have to sacrifice an Octopath Traveler for a Baldur's Gate character? That's what I'm trying to get at. Is which of these two games are we having two characters from, or are they both definitely getting two characters in?
I don't know. If Gar's definitely a lock, that's fine. And I don't know, absolutely no arguments there whatsoever. I would have locked Karlach and not Astarion, but I know that Lyle probably would have gone the other way. Yeah. So like it's a tough one. We could all just pick a.
But what you're describing there is the same thing that Chris Hyde and I are having with Casti and Partitio.
I don't know, mate.
Garl is a lock. Like, I'm sorry, just to be absolutely clear, if Garl isn't on this list, I don't even.
Garl's not number 6 on this list. It's the same thing we said before about Remnant 2. I can't. It's not.
It's what we doing. If he's not. Are we voting?
I mean, Chris, what's your view, mate, on like?
I know. So with playing so much of it and seeing the whole story, it has that similar thing to you in Octopath, I know, right? But like when we're talking about best new character, a character essentially is who the person is. And you see these two characters from Baldur's Gate transform along the way, and you see their character progress. You see them as a person and who they are as a character. And I think the writing is excellent. I just everything about, and I want them to be in the top 2.
But what I do have to ask this question: are they definitely new characters? Because were they both available all last year in the early access build? And that is an important thing to ask.
But the game was released this year.
Yeah, and we wouldn't have put them in last year as early access. None of us have played it,
Well, no, but none of us had played it. We could have. We didn't.
But it's a new game. It is a new game because it came out this year. Not everyone had a PC.
I know. I thought about not saying anything, and then it just occurred to me, fuck.
I didn't meet Karlach last year, I'll be honest. I missed it in the whole of the 40-odd hours I played of the early access.
Like, how passionate are we about Casti, right? Just because we were talking about her in the group earlier, and we'd already cut her. And now she's back in. Well, we were talking about. You were like, "Are we putting Casti back in?"
I just hadn't like that list hadn't been updated in a long time. To be fair, we stick a list down and then we add to it as we go through the year. Like having been playing Octopath for the last few days, and
I'd sort of forgotten how good a character she was.
Right, to be really clear, I misread the room on that. Because I thought everyone was going to go, Tits McGee overthrown it, and that was my false assumption. I think I almost like her more than Partitio and I think it's because of the reason that Adam said that personally for me it's like I feel seen, and I feel like I relate most to that as a character. I love them both. I wouldn't want to choose. It'd be like Sophie's choice, but I feel passionate about it. I genuinely do. I'm not just trying to stick it to Baldur's Gate 3 or Phantom Liberty because I haven't played them. There is genuine passion there for her.
Right. So I think out of both the Baldur's Gate characters, Karlach, on a personal level, let's talk about and feeling. I know it's not about.
We can't cut Karlach, man. You've got a fucking t-shirt.
No. This is what I'm telling you.
All right, I thought you were going to fall on your sword or something. She's the one I think's got to stay.
She's my favourite. She won't. Right?
Man, you bought a t-shirt of her.
What I'm saying is, Karlach and being seen, she puts on this brave face, making everyone laugh, being that person throughout the game and inside, both physically and mentally, she is not all right.
Oh, so you're saying she's me as well?
Well, she's a lot of people.
You can't be every character, Adam.
Apparently, I am. Apart from
He's an
Solomon Reed.
onion. He's got layers.
And I think, I think, like I'm more passionate about the Baldur's Gate characters than Solomon Reed. However, I do love Solomon Reed. So, and I think the general consensus is that these two Octopath Traveler 2 characters are loved by the group as most of us. Although, like me and Mick haven't seen them all the way through. So what I'm saying is, I think we're not getting anywhere. If it's a case of having to cut one, and I'm not happy about it, but I think it's the smartest decision here is to, unless someone disagrees, we cut Astarion.
I do disagree.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, man, because like
you said, look. The thing is, right. There are parallels between Baldur's Gate 3 and Octopath Traveler 2, right? The thing that is going to be held against Baldur's Gate 3 is, oh, well, it's a 100-hour game. I'm never going to have a chance to play through all of that. Octopath Traveler 2 is an 80-hour game, and I suspect longer if you are actually playing the content available to you. So it's not like a bad black mark against you and Mick that you haven't seen Particio and Casti's stories through, which part of the... You can't really completely separate story from character because the story is part of that, right? We're talking about the characters and we'll talk about the stories tomorrow. But it's the same for me, Chris, and I don't know how far Lyle's got, but I suspect similar with Astarion and Karlach. It can't be held against the game. I think this is why I said Solomon Reed, because it's the only one that hasn't got like 3 people behind it, basically. But also, we just need to vote on this now and get it done and then work out the top 5 because we aren't really progressing in any way.
In between, though, that's the problem.
Well, no, it's who you're voting to cut.
Vote for 6th place, yeah?
Basically, if you want to do that. So that's fine. I mean, look, surprising no one, I suggest we cut Solomon Reed from this list. I'm not saying he's a bad character. I'm saying that against these other 5, I don't think he would push any of them out from what anyone said, and that's based on what everyone said. There's no way that Chris, myself, and Lyle are going to accept Garl, Casti, or Particio going. There's no way that Lyle, Chris, or Mick are going to accept Astarion and Karlach going over Solomon Reed, I think. So my vote is that we cut Solomon Reed. Chris Hyde.
Yeah, I think for the same reasons. I just think, you know, I mean, Chris, you literally said it, that you'd have Astarion and Karlach over Solomon Reed. So I just think that, yeah, and the passion for Astarion and Karlach, I have to go Solomon Reed. It's just like they're there and there in terms of passion and character. It's still a great character, but that's what I feel from the group. It would be my assessment.
Lyle?
I mean, if you're going to end this quickly, then I guess picking me to say
so
Solomon Reed as well is the way to do it, right?
It's fine, guys. Honestly,
I do love the way we end up with these awards, like not cutting someone, having a massive argument about it, then half an hour later, just cutting the one we were going to cut in the first place. Let's order these into a 5, call it a day, sleep it off, take some cocaine, and then come back and be friends tomorrow for day 4. Who wants to shout the winner?
Is this how it works now?
I'm just trying to cheer everybody up.
I'm happy. I think this is a great list.
It's a great list of amazing characters that means that means things to people on this list. Like, you know, like Karlach means something to Mick, means something to Chris. Astarion means something to Lyle. Garl means something to me. Particio does. Casti for Chris. These are characters that really matter, and they have mattered to us for the whole of 2023.
And now we have to fight them to the death to see who is the best.
Let me ask you a question, Lyle.
Yes.
Let's pretend this list is 2.
Okay.
If you had to pick who you prefer as best new character between Particio and I'm getting to this. Don't judge me until I've explained my thinking. If you had to judge the best between Particio and Casti, which would your preference be?
Particio.
So, would that mean Particio 5th, Astarion 4th,
Wait.
What?
I wanted
No.
Patricio those, right?
Oh, sorry, the other way around. Sorry, the other way
I was
around.
gonna say, what
Sorry,
are you
would
doing?
that? Yeah, no,
Like,
I'm sorry.
Lyle,
I'm
what do you
looking at
think? Right, bin that.
Bottom
forget what
then.
you said and then listen to me. Would that mean that Casti is 5, Asterion is 4, Particio is 3, Karlak is 2, and Garl wins?
I mean,
So,
it's a... Okay.
so
Would that
So-
make sense, or is that just my insane brain
I
trying
think
to make
I-
sense of something?
I think
Right.
Karlak wins.
I think it's an excellent starter for 10, but I think we're going to get arguments about the
Mhm.
top 2.
I think Karlak wins. I mean, Garl too.
But Chris
Yeah,
hasn't
and,
even
and
met
it's
her.
close. It's a close run thing.
I agree with that list. We need to see if
Which
the
one?
group- the one you said.
Right.
The order.
I was going to say
So
that
I
was a
think
surprise for a
let's
minute
put
there.
it in that order. And
Right,
because
hang
I
on.
do think that
But I've
is-
forgotten what I said now, so you might have to
so
help me.
Casti at 5.
Casti was 5.
Astarion was 4.
Okay.
Particio was 3. Karlak was 2, and Gar was 1. Now, based on what
Is that right?
everyone has
'Cause I
said,
was sort of. Is that
based
what
on what
that's
everyone has said and my experiences, that would
Right.
be my top 5, and presumably it would be your top 5. But I'm not surprised to hear people arguing Karlak over Garl. So I do think, I guess, do we want to say about 3 to 5?
Yeah, do we want to
Locking?
try and see
Or-
if
In the
anyone...
same position if we vote again though, because you guys will vote Garl 1, me and Chris will vote Karlak, and it will end up where it is anyway. So what's the point? You might as well just leave it. I mean, Lyle's not going to pick Karlak over Garl. It's not going to happen.
Lyle, would you pick
Neither are you two.
Asterion over Particio?
I would pick us Asterion
so.
over Partition, personally. Yes.
I thought so.
It's I understand any other way, but if other people argued, I wouldn't be like, super upset about it. I think both those characters are fucking brilliant characters. I don't think we've said maybe enough about Particio either, who's sort of like this like merchant who's just trying to make the world a better place, and it's kind of an interesting like there's a look of you get a sort of a look at like thoughts about capitalism from his viewpoint and stuff like that, and he just is one of those forces of good we've talked about that. And he's so fucking charming. His voice is amazing as well. Like you hear him speak and you're just like, oh, I want to have you with me all the time. And I did.
Yeah, his voice is particularly good. I mean, that game's got far better voice acting than it deserves, really.
Oh,
I'd
I was
forgotten that the
expecting
entire
it.
game is voice acted until I went back
Yeah.
and I'm like, Jesus, they've knocked it out of the... But like, yeah, his voice is probably my standout in that game as well. Like, but that, yeah. It's difficult because I haven't played enough of Baldur's Gate 3, but I do feel like that's, if you're saying you would go Asterion over Particio, I think that 4 and 5 are now locks.
I mean, I'll take it, and I can at least rest assured that the Baldur's Gate fans might be less upset by the end result.
I mean, I think it's probably it's the fair reflection of the group. I think in terms of 4 and 5, I think I and Lyle probably has enough experience of both to adjudicate a bit, and that's what he thinks. So I think I think it probably is right to place them there. I'm going on a lot of faith, but the passion is there for 2 and 3. The characters that are at 2 and 3 at the moment, the Baldur's Gate 3 characters. So I have to trust in that, and I will, because it's very passionate. So I think it's right. I think how we get 1 and 2. Are we saying Astarion's definitely 3, and then it's 2 and 1 we need to talk about?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm happy with that.
Okay.
If it feels right, the temperature of the room feels right.
It feels right as a summary of everybody. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I think that's the list myself.
Yeah, I think for me it's going to be hard. I mean, I know that Chris Hyde and Adam are going to be full Team Garl along with me, because I think Garl is such a ridiculously special, like once in a lifetime character. I think
Agreed.
he's like, there has never been a force of positivity in a game that I've like resonated with more. I think he makes the entirety of that like 30-hour adventure in Sea of Stars. Like, he's such a positive like boost in the dark times when there's stuff going on. I mean, there are some parts to his character's story where
it's stupid in some ways that we're not talking about Zale and Valere.
It's so
absolutely
weird,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's right that we're not, right?
Mhm.
But given that entire story is their story, and yet we turn around and you go gun to your head, who's the best character, the most important character in that story, and it's Garl. Yet you don't really control him much.
But he is literally the most important part of the story. Without spoiling until tomorrow, if he doesn't play his part, that game's story doesn't work.
No.
Yeah.
In more than one situation, in fact. But there is one specific one I'm thinking of. That relates to a best moment we'll talk about tomorrow. I hate to be cryptic, but we try not to spoil unless we have to.
We don't need to, I don't think.
But there's like a true ending, shall we say, to this game. The way that plays off is quite incredible, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, 100%.
But Lyle nailed it for me. I can't really add a lot more to it because it's so rare to see something so. Let's face it. When you look out your window, it's a bit shit sometimes. But Garl is like, it's just bottled positivity and happiness for me.
But I think,
wonderful.
listen, it is. There's things that I do want to say just because they happen relatively early that I think some are kind of set up the character for the rest of this. You know, there's two things that happen to this poor guy very early on.
Yeah.
You know, one is that he fucking loses an eye. The second one is that his friends just fuck off for years because they're his two best mates, the only two people that he really has to be mates with, like, for his entire growing up. I can't think of the adolescence, whatever you want to call it, like his childhood. His two childhood friends, because of their destiny, have to fuck off to an academy and then he can't see them for years. And that's literally just after he's fucked his eye up, right? There's absolutely no reason why lesser characters don't just fucking disappear. And you know what I mean when I say that.
The other way of evil, basically.
Yeah, or that. And what does this character do? He tries to fucking sneak into the academy and give them biscuits. Like, it's literally like,
in your growing up, we've all got friends that we've not intentionally let go, but we've got friends that we've drifted from. Like, you've got someone that you'll think back to and you'll go like, oh Christ, yeah, we were besties, and it's not your fault or their fault when you drift apart. That's life. Sometimes life forces it. Garl's like, no, not for me. I will wait, and I'm not allowing this to go. And he is just a beautiful, beautiful person.
They said it themselves, the developers, when I got to do that interview earlier in the year, and they were just saying that we knew that was a special character. Everything we did with that character, the first take, it was just, it clicked. Like, the music, the first design of the art. Like, I don't know. I think Garl is really something special, and I can't really think of many years of games where I wouldn't put him as my number one character. I think it'd take a lot for me to not want him at number one, and yeah, this year's no exception.
I think it's a remarkable indication. Like, last year we had like the squirrel from God of War in our top 5, whereas this year these are all 5 kind of human characters with like deep emotional impact on us, and I think that says what a hell of a year it's been for games. I guess, Chris, White, Mick, have you got anything you want to say, or are we lock in at what we do? And like, it doesn't. I know
it's what it's come down to. Karlach is the best. Samwise Gamgee, I get it. Sorry, Garl is 1. I get it. You know, I'm not happy, but I'm not. We're a democracy.
Yeah.
Am I locking this?
You know, for the record, it's not like Karlach is a character that I don't think is fucking amazing. Like, would still be in a top 5 for me, if not, you know, regardless of what stupid characters like Ilmo and Bash I was adding.
You know, yeah. Well done for just lowering the credibility of your point there.
She will have a moment. I'll make sure of that.
Am I locking this? Am I reading this out?
I'm fine with it, obviously.
It doesn't. It seems like the category no one's actually happy with, but I need to know before I speak our truth.
There's no way they're switching. So,
well, I mean,
there
like Mick said earlier, we could make a vote. It would be the same.
Yeah. So there's no point
to anything. I know what you mean, Chris. I know.
What a positive podcast this has been.
I need to be more Karlak and Garl.
Yeah, definitely. We could all do with being a bit more Garl. In 5th place for Best New Character of 2023 is Casti from Octopath Traveler 2. 4th place is Particio, Octopath Traveler 2. In 3rd place is Asterion. Is it Asterion or Astarion? Astarion for Baldur's Gate 3. Karlak is 2nd place in Baldur's Gate 3. And the winner of Best New Character for 2023 is Garl from Sea of Stars. So let's all go and have a nice bit to eat and maybe a little nip on a dram of whiskey or something, and let's all chill out before we come back tomorrow to talk about best story and best moment. And I can say that in advance, I don't think there's ever been a category with as many entries into it as best moment ever.
And that's after we've
pre-cut some because we realised it was too long. So if you are planning on just your usual 3-hour stint of listening to it tomorrow, I'd maybe take that extra hour perhaps to consider best moment. Yeah, so tomorrow, best story, best moment. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks to Mick, to Chris, to Lyle, and to Chris for being here. And we will speak to you tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Bye-bye.